Here in Southern California, the Mets and the Padres getting set. It's always perfect here in San Diego. It's kind of a matter of civic pride, and Mike Piazza enjoying the laid-back atmosphere here in San Diego, very different from what he encountered in New York, and that's what he did for the Mets in nearly 8 years as a Met. He arrived in May of 1998 after his week as a Florida Marlin. And this is a little different for Mike. And he was talking about before the game the transition of going from one franchise to another. It was much more wrenching the first time around when Piazza left Los Angeles because he left on such poor terms.
Well, I know how what it means to leave on poor terms. When I left with St. Louis with bad blood. But he said that he left on good terms with the Mets. He knew and understood what the Mets were doing. They're going in a new direction. And he's happy here in San Diego. He's back in Southern California.
And the Padres are using Piazza very much the way the Mets used him last year as a cleanup hitter. As the year went along, he wasn't a cleanup hitter anymore, and the Mets kind of came to that realization, but he's trying to plug into that role again.
Well, his first at bat here, obviously, an opening day here in San Diego, he hit a home run. It's been a little bit downhill, a little bit of a struggle for him since then, hitting .231. It's been a struggle. The scouting report on him is what we saw last year, a little bit of a slower bat. The guys that can get it up there, he's rushing, swinging on a lot of bad pitches, but this is a great player.
Well, during his session with the media earlier today, Mike talked about whether he ever thought during the offseason that he might return to New York. He said not really. He's seen a changing of the guard with the Mets.
I'm happy for their fans because I think the fans deserve a good ball club there. They've stood by us, through some lean years recently, and a lot of guys, or at least a lot of expectations that were unfulfilled. And it was sad. It's always frustrating and sad for me because, I felt like, I would have been a big part of that in the last three. We had some experiments, or at least some gambles that didn't work out.
It was quite a contrast. Piazza met with the New York media, and there were about 35 or 40 media members around him. Xavier Nady, who's returning to San Diego for the first time since being traded from the Padres, he met with the San Diego media, 2 sports writers. It's a big difference.
Well, in San Diego here you have one paper, and that's the Union. In New York, of course, you got a whole bunch of papers, and that's no surprise what happened here today.
And so Piazza in a laid-back atmosphere here in San Diego, where the Padres were division champs last year and hoping to repeat. Mets and Padres from Petco Park coming right up. Mets baseball on Sportsnet New York is being brought to you by ChevyOffers.com, the presenting sponsor of Baseball Night in New York. By Rico, move your ideas forward with Rico dependability. And by Honda.com, see your Honda dealer and discover the great values now being offered. Petco Park in San Diego is now starting its 3rd year as the home of the San Diego Padres after they moved from Jack Murphy, later known as Qualcomm Stadium. And there is Mike Piazza squatting behind home plate, not wearing his familiar number 31. He has number 33 on his back now as a Padre. And there is Jake Peavy, the ace of the Padres staff, on the mound tonight. Here's the Chevrolet Mets lineup that he'll face. And you see Kaz Matsui, he'll make his 2006 debut. And if you'll recall, Kaz hit a home run in his first at-bat in the major leagues in 2004. And he hit a home run in his first at-bat of the season in 2005. We'll see if he can get that unusual streak continued here tonight.
And there's Jake Peavy, the starter tonight for San Diego. Look at the strikeouts already. He's already got his strikeout pitches going. He struggled the first 2 outings. Lost a tough one against Smoltz in Atlanta. Sinker, slider, a real battler. And the Padres defense, brought to you by Ford, sets up with, you see Khalil Green there highlighted. He's made 2 errors already in this young season. Giles, Johnson, Roberts, the veteran Roberts out in the outfield. Vinny Castilla, the veteran at 3rd. Josh Barfield at 2nd. Adrian Gonzalez, the young star and hitting well at 1st. And Mike Piazza, of course, behind the plate. And there's Khalil Green right there.
And Jose Reyes leads off for the Mets. Reyes had a double in his last trip last night, but just 2 for his last 20, hitting at .262. And Peavy misses with his first pitch. Reyes' is on-base percentage down to .308. Remember, he had a .300 on-base percentage last year and got off to the fast start. And Peavy missing high, 2-0.
Reyes has been getting under the ball again. He started out so hot. hitting line drives, Gary, and ground balls. Now he's back to a little bit of his old ways, chasing bad sliders in the dirt and getting under the ball.
Has a 2-0 advantage, and he takes a strike. Reyes, unique among the Mets, has good numbers against Jake Peavy. As you look at Paul Lo Duca on deck, Peavy's dominated the Mets for the most part. And Reyes takes ball 3. C.B. Buckner not giving Peavy a call that he thought he should have had. Peavy last year won 13 games, but that does not indicate how well he pitched. As Reyes pops one up foul, he missed a couple of starts along the way. Led the league in strikeouts nonetheless, 216 strikeouts in 203 innings. And then, just to give you an idea about his toughness, during the Padres celebration clinching their National League West title, somebody somehow managed to break his rib as Reyes fights one off. And yet Peavy took the mound in game 1 of the National League Division Series against the Cardinals with a broken rib and managed to at least fight his way through that game. Wound up pitching 4 1/3 innings before he finally gave way. 3-2 to Reyes, and he fouls it back, and Reyes with a long opening at bat.
Well, he's trying to work a walk here, and it's hard to walk Jose, although he has managed to get a few more walks this season early in the year. Still under the ball. He should always try to hit the top half of the ball.
And again, he fouls it off, so he's seen 8 pitches in this opening at bat. And Keith, the defense is playing Reyes more as an opposite field hitter than we normally see.
Well, you know, I would do that too. That tells me they're not going to. They got a power pitcher here, not with an off-speed pitch. It's just going to be hard sinker, hard slider. So they're going to shade and pitch him away and play him away.
Again on 3-2, and again Reyes fouls it off, and he's now seen 9 pitches in the opening at bat, and if nothing else, making Peavy work to start the game. Willie Randolph, who's stressed on base percentage to this ball club as a whole, has been a bit dismayed at the fact that the Mets right now are last in the National League in team on base percentage at .325. And he fouls another one off, and that's 10 pitches and still going in the opening at bat of the game.
Well, I tell you what, Gary, I'm being serious. Those Florida Marlin pitching staff outside of Dontrell Willis, and you see the grip on the ball. And Washington's bullpen, I wouldn't want to walk neither. I want to take my hacks.
Again on 3-2, and this one Reyes puts in play, shallow left field. And Dave Roberts right there, one away. So Reyes has an 11-pitch opening at bat. That's the good news. Bad news is he flies out, and he's now 2 for his last 21.
And again, that hole at bat, he never made a correction to get on top. How do you work on it? You work on it in batting practice. I know when I was a line drive hitter, I was schooled by my dad to concentrate on the top half of the ball, hitting the top half of the ball. And that really, it does work. It makes you focus on the top half to get on top.
And Lo Duca takes a strike, and particularly when you're as fast as Reyes, you never want to be hitting the ball in the air.
If Jose gets in a hot streak and has a great year, he's not a 20 home run guy. He's going to hit your 15 home runs. He's going to get stronger. He's got to get on base.
Lo Duca fouls one off 0-2. Paul Lo Duca hitting at .357, had the day off yesterday. Mets 3 times in the last week had day games after night games, and Lo Duca sat all 3. And remember, he just turned 34 years old, so Willie's going to do that most of the year. As you look at Carlos Beltran, who missed the last 4 games with a hamstring injury, didn't pronounce himself in the lineup till about 45 minutes before the game tonight. 1-2 the count to Lo Duca. The Mets is certainly a different ball club with Beltran and Cliff Floyd back in the lineup.
However, that being said, Atlanta had the same amount of people hurt too, and the same important guys in that lineup. So it was equal going in. It was just really a fun series to watch.
There's Cliff Floyd coming back from a rib cage pull tonight. And Lo Duca skies it to shallow left. Green called off by Roberts, and 2 fly balls to the left fielder. And Jake Peavy has the first 2 Mets out. So 2 out and nobody on. Well, here's Beltran. Carlos sitting at .273, 3 home runs, 9 RBIs. He's had just 1 hit in 10 at-bats in his career against Peavy. The Mets finally beat Peavy last summer at Shea. As Beltran hits one to center field, and right there is Ben Johnson. And so on 3 fly balls, Jake Peavy gets the Mets on 1-2-3 in the opening inning. 0 across. We go to the bottom of the first. Steve Traxel on the mound. Petco Park in San Diego. Steve Traxel takes the mound for the Mets for his 3rd start of the season. Here's the Rico Padres lineup that he'll face. Josh Barfield, the rookie second baseman. You see Mike Piazza hitting cleanup these days for the Padres. Vinny Castillo off to a good start at age 38. And Ben Johnson, the young center fielder, whom the Padres are very high on. It's a pretty young lineup facing Traxel tonight, with the exception of Piazza and Castillo.
And Steve Traxel gets the ball again, his 3rd start of the season, off a rough outing at home, his last time out.
Remember, that last outing was on 7 days of rest. Here he pitches on his regular 5th day as Dave Roberts leads off and takes a strike. Traxel very much a creature of habit. We'll see if he fares better here pitching on his normal day.
6-8 lifetime against the Padres in 16 starts. You remember what Ronnie said, that when he had too much rest, he always it was too strong and inevitably got shelved. So he's back on his routine, back on his 5th day.
Wright creeping in on the grass at 3rd against Roberts, who punches one foul. You mentioned that Traxel's 6-8 lifetime against the Padres. He probably had, in retrospect, the most important start of his career against San Diego. In his first year as a Met in 2001, he had a horrible day against the Padres at Shea. He gave up 4 home runs, and after that start wound up accepting an assignment to the minor leagues. As Roberts lines one the other way toward the left field corner, and that is a foul ball. So Roberts, who was around first, will come on back. And when Traxel went down to the minor leagues, everything changed for him for the better.
And there you see a better angle. That first shot, you folks back home, that's the view we have. We get blinded there, just like you did on that shot. We couldn't see where the ball landed, but our director, Mr. Webb, came back with the other angle for us. Thank you, Billy.
Was there not a bit of chalk dust involved in where that ball fell?
It's nice to know Webby's awake down there.
Well, it's the first West Coast game of the year. You know, the time change and everything. Some folks need to.
I feel great.
Get a little nap in.
Let's play 2.
1-2 to Roberts. And Traxel bounces 1, 2-2. Well, here the Mets played on the East Coast yesterday. As you look at Mike Piazza, and they come west for a road trip with no day off. It's got to take some toll on your body.
It's more difficult going back.
Roberts drives one toward the right field corner, and he's got himself an extra base hit. Roberts, who can still fly, will try for 3. Matsui with the relay throw, and it bounces off the glove of Wright. It's a triple for Dave Roberts, leading off the bottom of the first. And for Roberts, that's already his 3rd triple of the year.
Well, fastball inside here, and it is inside. He just turned on it. Hits a rocket down the right field line, and this is a ball club with a lot of guys that have a lot of triples. It's a big park. You see he can still run, as you said, Gary. Only a perfect throw from Matsui would have got him. It would have beat him, but just a little bit up the line. Tailed into left field just a little bit. It would have been a close play if it was right on the bag.
Dave Roberts just shy of his 34th birthday. So he's at 3rd with nobody out. The Mets will play the infield back to concede a run. And here's the rookie second baseman, Josh Barfield. And he's off to a good start. He takes a curveball for ball 1. Barfield, the son of former Blue Jays and Yankees outfielder Jesse Barfield. Jesse was a home run hitting outfielder with a great arm. Josh is a little guy, but he's off to a fast start, hitting at 300 on the year.
Well, he's 6 feet, 190 pounds. 23 years old. He'll get bigger.
And Traxel gets even at 1-1. There you see what the rookie crop is doing. That Hanley Ramirez, whom we saw at the beginning of the season, he has been very impressive, the shortstop for the Marlins.
And the Marlins got 3 guys in that group.
Well, they've got more rookies than anybody else.
I hear you.
His strength in numbers. And Barfield fouls one off, 1-2.
And as I've always said, a pitcher like Traxel gives a young hitter fits. Young hitters are so fixed on hitting a fastball. If you look at Brian Giles, number 3 hitter for San Diego, they're so fixed on hitting a fastball. And Traxel's a guy that can throw you the kitchen sink at any count.
Traxel ahead 1-2 with a runner at third and nobody out. And he throws the splitter and strikes out Garfield. No tag made. LaDuca checks the runner and makes the throw to first, and there's the first out for Traxel. So one away, and it'll bring up Brian Giles.
Well, not even getting a fastball to hold it back. This is a hard split finger down the dirt. Starts out knee high and breaks out of the strike zone. And there's another guy that drives young hitters crazy, particularly rookies. It's always those control pitchers with good off-speed pitches.
Well, here's Brian Giles, who's not going to swing at too many pitches out of the strike zone. He walked 119 times last year. And he's already walked 15 times this year, hitting at .289. Giles re-upping with the Padres during the offseason. He was a free agent, and he takes loan away. He had a huge offer of something like 5 years and $55 million to go to the American League, but decided to stay here for less money and fewer years. Giles grew up in San Diego, and he's thrilled to be a Padre. And Traxel misses low 2-0. Now, this is one of those interesting situations. You got Giles, a guy who's not going to chase, and you got Piazza on deck, who's struggling and is a double play candidate.
Well, Mike, of course, never a great runner early in his prime, but still very dangerous maneuver here. Oh, good curve.
And he gets a strike to Giles, but throwing the 2-0 breaking ball.
This is the goodest curveball I've ever seen Traxel throw. That's just got some bite to it. He threw it harder. Usually he throws a little less velocity. That was a hard curve.
And it's 3-1 to Giles.
As a hitter, when I was in this situation, I always covered the plate away and were able to inside out a fastball. All that's needed here is a fly ball early in the game to get a run up. You're not giving yourself up for a fly ball. And it's always easier up here than it is down there, that's for sure.
On 3-1, Giles lines one into right center field, and that'll get the Padres on the board as Roberts trots home with the first run of the game. Brian Giles with his 5th run batted into the season, and the Padres out to a 1-0 first inning lead.
Well, he did better than a sacrifice fly. Got himself an RBI single.
So here's Piazza. And Mike admitted that he's a little bit nervous tonight. He said he'll be a lot more nervous when he returns to Shea in August when the Padres make their lone trip of the season.
It'll be very interesting to see how Traxel works, Mike. They're both very familiar with each other.
This is the first time the Mets have played against Mike Piazza since the 1997 season when he was a Dodger. Mike fouls the first one back. Piazza hit his 398th home run in his first at bat of the season, but he hasn't had one since. You see Mike wearing number 33. Number 31 here in San Diego is retired. That was Dave Winfield's number during his Hall of Fame career.
Pretty good player right there, Dave Winfield. A pretty good one right here.
So it's the first time since Mike's rookie season with the Dodgers that he's worn anything other than 31. Remember when he came to the Mets, John Franco had 31 but agreed to give it up for Piazza. There you see Winfield's 31 among the retired numbers next to Randy Jones's 35. To third should be 2. Wright to Matsui, who makes the easy turn. 5-4-3 double play, and Traxel's through the inning. So Piazza bangs into the double play in his first at bat, but the Padres get a run on 2 hits. We go to the second. 1-0 San Diego. Sports Night, the news and information source for all New York area sports fans. Sports Night won't just report the news, it'll break the news. 6 p.m., 10 p.m., and 1 a.m. every night, only on Sportsnet, New York. There's Dave Winfield. We were just talking about Dave and his retired number 31. Here's Carlos Delgado lifting one to center field. And on one pitch, Jake Peavy has the first out as Ben Johnson makes the grab. So 4 Met hitters, 4 fly ball outs.
Yeah, pretty much first ball hitting. This is a game right here where you can come out flat. Even though it's much more difficult to fly West Coast to East Coast, the time change is much more difficult to adjust to than coming out west. But still, we had a long flight last night, obviously. We got in around 9 o'clock, 8:30. You're still on New York time. You're waking up at 6 o'clock or whatever your norm is. It's 3 hours earlier. and it's a day where you can come flat. You've really got a ticket here.
David Wright takes a strike, and David's struggling right now, 0 for his last 11. And you're at a time right now where the team has been struggling the last couple of days, and you're facing a top flight starter. 1-1 the count to Wright.
I mean, I woke up this morning at 5:45. I wasn't very happy about that.
How you feeling now?
I took a nap. I worked out and took a nap.
A lot of that going on. Wright bounces one foul. You know, just to give you an idea about what the Mets have done the last 2 days, getting just 1 run and 3 hits. In the last 10 years, there's only been one other set of games in which the Mets had less than 2 runs and less than 4 hits in back-to-back games, and that was in 1999. To give you an idea how rare that is. 2-2 the count to Wright, and they've never had 3 straight games where they've had less than 2 runs and less than 4 hits. Cliff Floyd waiting on deck. But Peavy's a guy who can keep you in a slump. And Wright fouls off.
When I worked out this morning, it wasn't this morning, it was around 11 o'clock. Carlos Delgado was in the gym in the hotel working out with his trainer, did aerobics on the bike, and then went right into a few weights, light weights, and it was swimming.
Wright hits one the other way toward the right field corner. Over goes Giles, but it bounces up against the wall. Wright to second, and he's in with a leadoff double, with a 1-out double. So David Wright, after going hitless in 11 at-bats, has the Mets' first hit of the game, his 4th double of the year.
Jake Peavy did not read the scouting report, or didn't pay attention to it. Piazza set up outside. 2 strikes on David Wright. You've got to pound in, and that ball was up. He's a sinker ball pitcher, and he got it up. It stays flat, and David, good hitting on David's part.
So the Mets have the tying run at second with 1 out, and here's Cliff Floyd. And Cliff pretty much knew when he got to the ballpark today that he was going to play. He had a little batting practice session in the cage just to make sure, and then declared himself fit, coming back from a couple of days on the sidelines with a strained rib cage. And he hits one foul.
As much as that flight was a long flight last night, it's always nice to fly charter. And I remember the days early in my career, as you see Xavier Nady's bat, we used to fly commercial. And when you flew commercial, you were always subject then to delays, planes coming in from another city. And, you know, if you had to get to a town, there was sometimes where you were at the airport late at night and certain things happen, and the owners finally said, we better get charters or we get too many complaints.
0-2 the count. Well, there's no question that travel takes its toll on professional athletes, but it bears being said that professional athletes don't travel like regular civilians.
They're young and they're in shape too. And I tell you what, the food on the planes that they fly Delta is just phenomenal. They have more than a few courses, around 3 entrees to pick from, and that's the way it should be. I mean, you don't have the time to eat after a ball game on getaway day. You want to keep your players fed. You got a 5.5 hour flight. And you land like that in this city, one of the most dangerous cities in the country to land in.
The airport's right downtown in San Diego.
It is just, you can almost look out the window and look down and touch the ceiling, the roofs of the buildings. You don't want, and it's very eerie when you fly in with fog.
It's never foggy in San Diego.
On the beach it is.
2-2 to Floyd. It's foggy in the morning.
Yes.
They've had quite a bit of rain here in California, as you're probably aware, over the last month, far more than normal. But it's back to regular San Diego weather. Temperature was right around 70 today. You see that beautiful sky above.
It was beautiful. Beautiful day.
2-2 the count to Floyd, hitting an even 200 on the year. Trying to pick up Wright from second with 1 out. And he bounces one down to first. Gonzalez to the pitcher covering, and they're 2 away. Wright moves over to third. And now Xavier Nady comes up. Let's see what kind of reaction Nady gets in his return to San Diego. What a nice polite one.
Very Southern California-like.
Oh, we were talking about this on the open today. It was so funny because, you know, Nady arrived here, and you know, the PR people started scrambling around. Oh, we have to have some kind of media event for Nady in his return to San Diego. You know, Nady was a well-liked guy here. In fact, he was very good friends with the guy he's facing right now, Jake Peavy. But the media event consisted of 2 San Diego sports writers talking to Nady in the dugout. And contrast that with Piazza, who had a horde of dozens of reporters talking to him. 1-1 the count to Nady.
Well, you see Peavy right now has got his pitches up. And he's a sinker ball pitcher. You can tell at home. You can watch from that camera behind center field. He gets up, it stays flat. When he gets it down, it'll sink. He can't pitch from the belt up. That's where he has to be. But that had a lot of plate.
1-2 now to Nady with Kaz Matsui on deck.
Good job, X. You hit 10 lightning.
Nady hitting at .373, 6th in the National League. He's also 8th in the league in slugging percentage. Tying run at 3rd and 2 out. And it's 2-2 to Nady. Nady getting his first chance to play full time. Bruce Bochy certainly liked Nady, but never played him on a full-time basis here in San Diego. They've moved him around left field, right field, first base, third base.
I thought this was a good trade for the Mets. You're getting a younger player in Nady at 25. Mike Cameron did a terrific job for the Mets, but he's in his 30s. And Nady's got a world of talent, and this is an opportunity for him, and he's taken advantage so far. It's early. He's done terrific, but he's got a world of talent.
Padres are hoping Cameron can play before the end of this series. Here's the 3-2 to Nady. Swings at a pitch out of the strike zone, and Peavy has his first strikeout. So a double by Wright and 1 left. We go to the bottom of the second. If you look at the USS Midway, it's 1-0 San Diego. We go to the bottom of the second inning, 1-0 San Diego. Steve Traxel facing the Padres and Adrian Gonzalez, and he takes inside 1-0. Gonzalez at one time the #1 overall pick in the draft. That was in 2000. He grew up here in San Diego. He moved from the Marlins to the Rangers and now to the Padres after a wintertime deal. Traxel gets even 1-1. And Gonzalez is a kid with a great swing.
There's the old splitter right to the glove. That's exactly where Traxel would love to throw it every time if he could.
2-1 the count to Gonzalez. With Khalil Green waiting on deck. Padres last year, the National League West champions, with the worst record ever for a division champion. Hit right at Reyes. And Gonzalez retired 1 away. Reyes didn't have to move an inch, prompting the big smile. Doesn't take much to get Reyes to smile.
He's very happy. Which I can do one today. Here's the Mets chief defense for you. David Wright, of course, made 3 errors yesterday. He tied a Met record. Roberto Alomar made 3 errors back in 2002. Floyd Beltran back in the lineup. Nady and Wright. Matsui at second being called up. Delgado, Reyes at short, and Laduca back behind the plate.
There's Khalil Green taking outside. Well, if there's any ballpark that should get David Wright's glove well, it should be this ballpark, because here last year he made one of the phenomenal plays that we've ever seen. 1-1 to Green. Of course, it had nothing to do with his glove. He caught the ball with his bare hand.
I remember. This is such a beautiful park. It's so well manicured.
1-2 the count to Green.
An old Jack Murphy Stadium was so beautiful when it was open like this park before they enclosed it so they can get a Super Bowl in there.
And it's in there for a call strike 3. Green goes down looking, and Traxel has his second strikeout.
Well, he set him up here. I always said, if you take a third strike fastball, you're set up by the pitcher. And Traxel threw split fingers and curves. Green got ahead, struck him out with a fastball on the outside corner. Had Green thinking breaking ball or splitter.
Well, here's Vinny Castilla. Vinny keeps rolling along. It's like Old Man River. He's 38 years old now. And he's off to a pretty good start, hitting at .333 with a homer and 7 RBIs. Padres have not been scoring much, and it's one of the reasons why they're 6-8 to start the year, and Traxel starts him off with a breaking ball.
I must say that Traxel has a very outstanding curveball early today, and I've never seen him throw it so hard. It's got, because he's throwing it harder, it has more bite. There it is again.
And he gets the comebacker from Castilla, makes the easy play, and he has himself a 1-2-3 inning. So we played 2 now in San Diego. The Padres up 1-0 as Traxel gets the Padres 1-2-3. We go to the 3rd inning here at Petco Park in San Diego, and Kaz Matsui has his first at bat of the season. That's usually a good thing. And he takes a changeup from Jake Peavy for ball 1.
He's had a great success his first at bat.
He certainly has. Each of his first 2 years in the big leagues hit a home run in his first at bat. In fact, in 2004, he was the leadoff hitter for the Mets in Atlanta, and the first pitch he saw in the big leagues, the first pitch of the season, he hit over the center field fence off Russ Ortiz. 2-1 to Matsui. And then last year in Cincinnati, his first at bat of the season, he was batting second. He hit a home run off Paul Wilson. So here's his first at bat of 06. And he drives one to deep right field. Back goes Giles, back near the wall. He reaches up. He can't get it. It's an extra base hit. Matsui will easily make third. He might go all the way. It's picked up by the center fielder Johnson and played in. Here's Barfield's relay throw to the plate. Thrown home by Gonzalez. Not in time. It's an inside the park home run. Matsui does it again. 3 straight years, a home run in his first at bat of the year. This one inside the park, and it ties the game at 1-1. Unbelievable.
I don't believe it. Welcome back.
Where you been?
My goodness.
Well, I'm left with almost nothing to say. Well, what a way to come back.
Fastball right down the pipe. Giles almost makes the play here. Crashes into the wall. There's just at that weird angle of the wall out there. The ball bounces away from both fielders.
Double relay from Johnson to Barfield to Gonzalez to Piazza, and they couldn't get him. And now the comebacker off Peavy, and he throws out Traxel, and Peavy appears to be all right.
Well, here's the play at the plate here. He just got his foot in there. Mike blocking the plate there. Mike Piazza.
He didn't catch the ball. But where was Piazza? Because he was off to the left of home plate and got there late.
Well, we're going to watch Matsui here. Now, this is a long way to run now.
Remember, he's coming off a knee injury, too. He had a sprained medial collateral ligament in his knee. That's what kept him on the sidelines for a month. And you think he's happy to be back? Look at that smile.
That is just incredible.
Here's Reyes taken outside. Well, Darryl Strawberry 2 straight years hit a homer in his first at bat in '87 and '88. 188 was memorable. That was the one in Montreal that went off the ring of the stadium. As Reyes lifts one to left. And Roberts makes the play for the second out. But Matsui doing it 3 straight years. I don't know if anybody's ever done that.
Well, here's the play at the plate again. And Piazza blocking it right in front. Matsui got his foot in there. He would have been safe. But that is just amazing.
It really is. You know, the way this outfield is configured, you get a lot of odd bounces off that fence. And that ball, after Giles crashed into the wall, it just hugged the fence all the way towards center field, and that's what made the play possible.
And no matter what kind of conditioning you do, all the sprints you can come in great shape. Baseball players aren't conditioned for inside the park home runs. They're just not conditioned. Here's the play at the plate again. Is it 90 feet to first base? That's 30 yards?
And there's some concern now for Jake Peavy. Remember, he knocked down that ground ball hit by Traxel, and I'm not sure exactly where it got him, but apparently he's feeling some ill effects. And the trainer and the manager, Bruce Bochy, are back out there. Well, you know, all inside the park home runs are memorable in their own way. The last inside the park home run the Mets had was Marlon Anderson's last summer against the Angels, and that one was memorable for the fact that it tied up the game in the bottom of the 9th inning. Ball that Steve Finley kicked from center field over toward the right field corner. But I don't think, what can you do that would be more memorable than what Matsui just did?
There's the ball that hit. It looks like he got him on the ankle.
Trainer's back in the dugout, and Peavy will continue and misses outside to LaDuca, 2-0.
But it's 90. If you think about it, it's 90 feet to first base. It was 30 yards. It's over a 100-yard dash on an inside the park home run.
with 3 left turns. 2-1 to LaDuca.
And that'll tire anybody out.
Well, by the time you run it, you can't cut the bases perfectly. It's probably a little more than 120 yards. 2-1 to LaDuca, and he takes it wide, and so Peavy behind in the count 3-1. Well, wait until next year and see what Matsui can do for an encore in his first at bat. What he can hope for now is that it's the start of something big. And you talked about it before, Matsui's 9 lives. I mean, he came to the Mets as a tremendously hyped player as a shortstop from Japan, and didn't play well at short, and was moved to second last year, and then was hurt quite a bit. And you know, who knows? He's only 30 years old, and you hope that maybe he will be what he was presented as when the Mets first signed him.
Well, all the guys that went over when they played, when the teams went over to play Japan, Dusty Baker in particular went over, was manager of the Giants then. He told me that Matsui was the most impressive player over there, and he could not believe his struggles here. He thought it was a great move by New York to get this man, and it just hasn't worked out.
And certainly other teams wanted him as well. Up the middle, Khalil Green throws out LaDuca, and the inning is over. But the inside the park home run by Kaz Matsui, who homers in his first at bat of the season for the 3rd straight year. Rounded the bases, he says, and the game is even at 1. Hey, Mets fans always traveling and missing games. Watch Mets games live online whenever you're away from New York, exclusively from MLB.tv. Mets.com has more live games than anyone else. Mets.com, where baseball is always on. Steve Traxel has retired 4 in a row after giving up a run in the opening inning. Ben Johnson leads off for the Padres, and he takes a strike. Johnson's been playing center field the last 4 or 5 days for San Diego. Mike Cameron began a rehab assignment tonight for the Padres. He has yet to play. 1-1 to Johnson. Cameron strained an oblique muscle right at the end of spring training, and his hope is to be in the lineup by Saturday night. And some Padres playing 4 in this series. Dave Roberts played most of the center field the first 2 weeks, but now Johnson getting a crack at it. 2-1 the count.
Well, Johnson last year was a late call-up, hit .213 in 31 games for the Padres. Hit .312 in AAA Portland.
Curveball by Traxel fouled off. 2-2. And the Padres are very high on Johnson. He's a kid who was a big football star in high school in Tennessee. In fact, he was considered the best athlete in that state, and he said he would have played NFL football if he was good enough, but he was just a better baseball player, and so he followed that path instead. 3-2 now to Johnson. Traxel's walked only 2 batters in 13 innings to start the season. And it's still 3-2. I was talking to Mike Piazza today about playing in San Diego, and he said, you know, people here are so laid back, and they just don't have the passion that people have in New York, and that, you know, that stands to reason. You expect that. As Johnson singles the other way, and it's a leadoff base runner for the Padres. He said that when the Padres were home to start the season, that they lost 3 games in a row to Colorado. As we look at Kaz Matsui circling the bases.
Well, this is your, what, 130-yard dash here? You start gassing right here, trust me. I hit one in St. Louis inside the park.
Those last few steps were tough.
I almost didn't make it, and I was a young man. I was like 23 when I hit it inside the park. I'm 24.
Yeah, here's Peavy in a sacrifice situation. As Traxel throws over. Anyway, they lost 3 straight games to Colorado here at Petco Park, and the Rockies scored double digits in all 3 games. And Mike said from the fans to the media to the front office, the attitude was, eh. I mean, that's basically what he said. He said, eh.
Let's go to the beach.
He said, if that were in New York, can you imagine the panic? Can you imagine the back pages? 1-0 the count to Peavy. And he said, you know, there's something good about that, but you also, New York energizes you. You wonder whether it's as easy to win in an environment where there isn't as much passion as it is in an environment where there is.
Well, I like the excitement. The fans can energize a player, and certainly New York was like a 26th man for us in a 25-man roster. Those were such electric atmosphere at Shea. It just got you fired up to play. And I would certainly prefer to play in that environment. That being said, I wouldn't have mind played here my entire career with this beautiful weather and the California. I would not have mind being a Dodger or a Padre. I'm not saying I'm happy where I wound up in St. Louis and New York, but this is not a tough pill to take right here.
Peavy with the butcher boy. Reyes runs it down, makes the play to first in time. Nicely done by Reyes. That was not an easy play at all as Peavy faked the bunt, ran the butcher boy, and Reyes made a nice play to throw him out.
Well, smart play by Peavy, because look at David Wright, right down his throat, and he does the right thing here. He had to pull it a little more. Easier said than done, but Reyes, very nicely done.
So no sacrifice by Peavy on the score sheet, but it has the same effect. And a runner in scoring position with one out. I guess the question is, does it take anything out of you as a player to play in an environment that's less energized?
Well, that's a good question. Do you think it would have taken anything out of Pete Rose to have played here? I don't think so.
But not everybody's Pete Rose.
I understand. And we're talking about the one person at the top of the scale.
Right. He was going to be energized wherever he played. But what about your average major league player?
Well, I think, well, you know, I can only speak for myself. There's some guys that are laid back that can get caught up in this kind of smooth atmosphere here. And there's those that can play here and overcome it.
I mean, you kind of played in what would be the in-between, which is St. Louis, where there's the passion without the panic. I guess that would be the best way to put it.
Yes, they are great fans there. They're loyal Cardinal fans. But the papers are pretty much provincial and right the company line there, not like New York. There's nothing like Boston, Philly, and New York as far as the press is concerned. You look at Mike, and I see my inside the park home run was in 1977 off Dick Ruthven, was then a Brave.
And where was that?
It was in Busch Stadium. I hit a line drive dead center field that hit
414.
Hit the top, the concrete above the padding, and the center fielder was Claudell Washington, I believe, and it bounced back and rolled all the way back into the infield.
And you were motoring.
I was motoring.
Do we have video of that? I need to see the video of this.
I would love. you would love my slide head first at home.
Our producer Greg Pickard just told us that the video's in Cooperstown.
And I'll get there somehow. Through hook or crook.
One of these days. 2-1 to Roberts, and he lays off the splitter, and it's 3-1. We're in the bottom of the third inning. The Mets and Padres tied 1-1. Roberts tripled leading off the first inning and then scored on a one-out single by Brian Giles. The Mets tied it up on Kaz Matsui's annual first at bat of the year home run. This one coming inside the park. Three and 1 to Roberts. Yeah, there's a fastball for a strike, 3-2.
You know, my experiences with when I came to New York, and it's a little unsettling to come to New York. New York wasn't my stupidity. New York wasn't one of my favorite towns when I was a Cardinal. And there is a whole different. I came when the club was down with no great expectations, but other guys that got traded in when there was expectations.
Curveball lined over Matsui's head and into right center field. Around third comes Johnson heading home. The throw by Nady is well up the line. Down to second Roberts. Throw by LaDuca, not in time. And the Padres have a 2-1 lead.
Well, good hitting by Roberts. The curveball that stayed in the middle, but it was down, and it loops it over to Matsui's head. Now watch Nady here. Comes up looking. Didn't have any chance to throw out the runner. And if he is going to throw home, he has to hit the cutoff man.
He was not only over the cutoff man, he was wide of the cutoff man, and the throw was up the line.
I think he got caught in between here, and that's good base running right there. Take your turn hard, read the throw, and you should be on second base. And this is the second time Nady's done that. And you've just got to think ahead. A soft line drive like that with a fast runner on second base, you're not going to throw him out.
I wonder whether Nady, a little over exuberant, coming back to his old stomping grounds. As Traxel looks in on Roberts, who's certainly known for his base running. Roberts stole the most famous base in Boston Red Sox history.
Boy, didn't he? To the glee of many a Met fan.
Pinch runner in the 9th inning of Game 4 with the Red Sox about to get swept. Stole the base, scored the tying run. Red Sox won 4 in a row and made history. And, you know, Roberts gets a lot of the credit for energizing the Red Sox. He obviously didn't do it all, but his was the first piece in that incredible puzzle. And Pedro was more than a small piece in that. 1-1 to Barfield.
You know, but getting back to the thought about people getting traded to New York teams with expectations. Howard Johnson comes to mind. It took Howard a while to acclimate. And Howard didn't get a chance when he first came, didn't play every day. Ray Knight was basically the starting third baseman. And there's another example. Ray Knight, a veteran competitor, came over, and New York had no effect on Ray Knight. He thrived in that New York environment.
Howard Johnson, of course, came over from the Tigers, but he was still a very young player at that time.
Yes, exactly. And Ray Knight was a veteran. And Ray Knight, to me, did one of the great things in baseball. He had to replace Pete Rose at third base. And he had a great year that year when Pete Rose was traded.
On 1-1, Barfield takes it outside, 2-1. Josh Barfield wearing number 29, which was his dad's number. And when he first found out he made the Padres team, was not going to wear 29. And then he decided, what the heck? They assigned him 14. He asked for 29, and he said his father has never smiled more. To right field, and Nady has this one, and Roberts will fake the go, and again Nady overthrows the cutoff man, but throws it on target to third, and Roberts holds up.
Well, we've talked before in the last homestand with Ron Darling. Don't take infield anymore. Outfielders don't get to warm up. They get a warm up. They don't get to practice their throws and hitting the cutoff man.
Now this is interesting just from a psychological standpoint. You've got first base open and 2 out, and you've got Brian Giles up with Piazza on deck. Do you walk him?
No, I wouldn't walk him. It's too early in the game right now. You put another man on base, and Piazza might hit one. It's a 3-run home run. If it's later in the game, I mean, it's still Mike Piazza.
Giles had a base hit to drive in the first San Diego run. Traxel was behind him 3-1 at the time.
I don't like all these managers today that overmanage early in the game when it's just a 1 or 2 run lead.
I guess the flip side of that would be, though, you look up and down this Padres lineup, Giles is the one guy you don't want to let beat you. And I guess that would be the argument for either pitching around him or putting him on.
Well, it all goes on how the count goes. If you fall behind, then be very careful. But go after him with the intent to get him out and make your pitch.
0-1 to Giles.
Whoa.
Way inside.
That's always good. That's fair. We used to get that a lot. That's fair. That's my inside corner. You want to lean, that's the chance you take.
Is it harder to get out of the way for a guy with an open stance who steps in like that?
I don't know. I never hit open stance. I have to ask someone tomorrow. I'll ask Brian Giles. I hit close stance.
It looked awkward trying to avoid that pitch.
Well, they're diving. They're diving.
To second base. Matsui coming in. And so Traxel gets Giles to end the inning, but the Padres regain the lead. A run on 2 hits. We go to the 4th. It's 2-1 San Diego. Here's that throw by Xavier Nady to the plate.
Well, it's a soft liner. Shouldn't have thrown home in the first place, and then the double sin of overthrowing the cutoff man.
As Carlos Beltran takes a strike. And then when the inning was over, Jerry Manuel, the Mets bench coach who handles the outfielders, talking it over with Nady.
Well, it should be said, that's a soft line drive. I mean, when I was playing in my 30s with the Mets, early 30s, they're not going to throw me out in that ball. Not that I was a truck horse, but I wasn't a trailblazer, that's for sure.
A truck horse?
Yeah, I love that. My mom used to call me a truck horse.
Who would you describe as a truck horse?
Someone that was.
If you weren't one. What does that mean exactly?
Truck horse means like a big, strong horse.
Pulling an ice truck. We're at Petco Park in San Diego. Gary Cohen, Keith Hernandez, Chris Cotter. Opening game of the Mets' 10-game road trip. First of 4 between the Mets and Padres. San Diego up 2-1 in the 4th as Beltran fouls it off 3-2.
That was actually one of the beauties that my mother was from Beaumont, Texas, on the Louisiana border with Texas. And all that, I had kind of a southern upbringing from my mother and all those southern terms.
Beltran hits one hard off the glove of Gonzalez and into right field, and Beltran is aboard. Well, Adrian Gonzalez has a reputation as a very good defensive first baseman, but he couldn't handle that hot shot, and Beltran is on.
The tough play here, could he get in front? That's the thing. Didn't get, oh, he olayed it. Look at him. Olay. Matador. He could have got in front of that ball, and it would have been off his body. Kept it, and would have been able to keep it in front.
He scored a base hit for Beltran, and the Mets have the leadoff man on for the 2nd straight inning. And here's Delgado, who all of a sudden is starting to struggle just a bit. 0 for his last 9 after flying out his first time up. And the Padres, as they did his first time up, do not overshift on the infield. They play him fairly straight up, except for the 3rd baseman Castillo, who's way off the line. Delgado fouls it back. Now, teams have been doing a lot of running against San Diego, and particularly against Jake Peavy, who never holds runners on very well. But you've got Delgado at the plate and Beltran at first, and that opens up the question again: is Beltran going to run with Delgado hitting?
Beltran is not going to run with the bad leg. He's not, I guarantee it. That'd be a surprise. He hasn't run a lot, Carlos. From the start of the season, he hasn't run a lot.
But again, I think that has to do with Delgado hitting behind him, a lot of it, doesn't it?
Well, yes, he wants to leave that hole open, and certainly you can do that, but sometimes it might be good to steal a base in a certain time late in the game.
0-2 now to Delgado with David Wright on deck. Mets down by a run as they bat in the top of the 4th against Jake Peavy, one of the elite starting pitchers in the National League. High and tight.
And wasn't that inside? Carlos diving in. Watch this ball. That's just the sinker. Comes back just on top of the inside corner. Everybody dives today.
1-2 to Delgado. And he strikes out on the fastball. So Peavy has his 2nd strikeout.
This is the 17th strikeout of the season for Carlos, and that's not a good swing. That's something you rarely see from Carlos. He's such a professional hitter.
Well, the Mets have a whole bunch of players who got off to great starts, who all of a sudden are just having a little struggle right now. Wright broke out of an 0-for-11 skid with an opposite field double his first time up.
Well, they ran into some good pitching, you know, and they ran Kyle Davies to a heck of a ball game, and Hudson was just outstanding.
I was shocked to read this on a comebacker. Past the mound, though. He leaves it for Barfield, and he turns a double play. So Peavy let it go, and Barfield was right there for the 4-4-3 double play, and the Mets are done in the top of the 4th. It's 2-1 San Diego. The WB11 knows you want an accurate, reliable weather forecast you can plan your life around. That's where Mr. G comes in. He'll tell you what to expect morning, noon, and night, plus the days ahead. Mr. G's planning forecast only on the WB11 News. And you know, it's so vital to have a good weatherman in New York. But what does a weatherman do in San Diego? It's always the same.
It basically is.
It's going to be sunny and 70 today, and tomorrow, and the next day. That's why Piazza takes ball 1.
And I'm bored with my job.
I got to have personality. It's all about personality. Piazza bounced into a double play his first trip, and he hits one in the air to center field, but it's playable for Beltran. And Carlos puts it away for the first down. As strange as it is to see Piazza wearing a San Diego uniform, it's even stranger to see him wearing 33.
I think it's more strange to see him with 33.
I mean, he wore 31 as a Dodger, he wore 31 as a Marlin for his 5 games, and 31 as a Met. The only time before this year he hadn't worn 31 was in his rookie year with the Dodgers. When he first came up in '92, late in the season, he wore number 25.
You get the number, you take the number they give you in your rookie season.
Here's Adrian Gonzalez, but do you know who had 31 when Piazza arrived with the Dodgers? We just saw him yesterday.
Tell me.
Roger McDowell.
Oh, really? There's Dave Winfield.
He was with the Dodgers at the time. Remember, the Mets traded Roger to the Phillies in '89, and then he moved on to LA. Here's Adrian Gonzalez, who lined out to short his first time up. Two and 0 the count to Gonzalez.
Dave Winfield now, of course, is in the organization. He's the senior advisor, vice president to the GM. I wouldn't want to get in a fight with him. 6'8".
Don't vice presidents usually wear ties?
Not in California.
I want to tell you something. In this ballpark tonight at Petco Park, in fact, in the entire city of San Diego, there are only 3 people wearing ties. You know who they are? You, me, and Chris Cotter. Nobody wears ties here. Adrian Gonzalez draws a walk. Well, let's try that again with the weather so nice here in San Diego, and we love our broadcast partner, the WB11. So let's let you know that the WB11 does want you to know that you want an accurate, reliable weather forecast you can plan your life around, and that's Mr. G. He'll tell you what to expect morning, noon, and night, plus the days ahead. Mr. G's planning forecast only on the WB11 News.
I wonder if Mr. G is still running in Central Park. When I used to be able to run, I used to always run into him.
Here's Khalil Green taking ball 1. You ran into him literally?
No. We'd always cross paths during our run on the lower loop of Central Park. Yes.
Green struck out looking his first time up. And Gonzalez is back.
Before my back went out, I used to run from my apartment on 49th and 2nd to Central Park, up to the reservoir, around the reservoir, then back to 49th and 2nd. 40 for 45 minute. I didn't go miles. I just minutes. It was around a 45-minute run for me.
Green bounces one slowly. Wright cuts it off and makes the underhand flip. Matsui can't make the turn in time. A little indecision there between Wright and Reyes, and Wright made a long underhand toss for the second out.
Well, he goes way in the hole here aggressively. I don't understand why he did that and didn't throw. He's too far away to shovel that ball over there.
I think at first he thought Reyes was going to go after that ball.
And Matsui knows a shortstop by trade. He's been hurt on that pivot.
Jason Kendall hurt him in Oakland last year with a hard leg whip.
And he did not get taken out on that ball, and that was a situation right there. He could have been clocked.
So 2 away. Green now at first, and here's Vinny Castilla, who had a comebacker to Traxel his first time up. 2-1 San Diego, bottom of the 4th. And another breaking ball from Traxel, and that's all he's feeding Castilla tonight. And he's got the reputation of being a great fastball hitter, but it's changed a little bit as he's gotten older.
He's hit 5 home runs off Traxel, 347 career average with 5 bombs. So Traxel's aware of this. He's going to pitch him very carefully.
One thing about Castilla, he's a really good player, but he's just not the same player when he's not playing in Colorado.
Well, no one is. I would love to have played 81 games in Colorado.
You probably have a lot of company in that. Nothing to the Castilla. I remember Todd Hundley, after the Mets played the first ever game at Coors Field. Hundley hit a grand slam that day. Mets lost a 14-inning game. But Hundley, after the game, said that the upper deck at right field at Coors Field was whispering to him.
Through the light air.
He never quite found the upper deck, but he certainly drew the ire of the Colorado pitching coach at the time, Frank Funk. He didn't appreciate the remark. You ever have a certain ballpark whisper to you?
No, but I had a pitcher get mad at me when I was very young. I hit a home run off Andy Messersmith in dead center field at Busch Stadium, old Busch Stadium. 414. And I said in the paper I never hit a ball there before. And I came out to the park the next day in batting practice, and Messersmith made a point to come up to me and said, You never hit a ball that far, huh? Well, next time I face you, try hitting this one. And I was like 24 years old. I said, I'm sorry. I'll keep my mouth shut next time.
Traxel keeping a lot of a wary eye on Green, but he's not running, and it's 1-2 to Castilla. Cliff looks a little bored out there. But you know what? I think Cliff is happy just to be playing in this ballpark and not having to turn his head. And Carlos Beltran certainly understands what that means.
It can get boring out there in the outfield. You can go the whole game without a ball hit to you. At least when I played first base, I always had action.
There goes Green. Pitches a ball. Duca's throw is wide, and Duca's having a little trouble with his throwing right now.
He started out throwing real well, and has struggled now the last couple of games with his throwing.
Duca now just 1 for 13 throwing out base stealer.
Fastball away. He just like got it in his palm. Just not a good throw. He hasn't got a real strong arm. He's got good fundamentals in his release. There's no wasted motion, but he hasn't really got a very strong arm.
Well, the Padres have not been caught stealing yet this year. In fact, they're 11 for 11 as a team now. That's Green's second. And so he's in scoring position with 2 out. 2-2 the count to Castilla. And Traxel misses inside with the fastball. And so after getting ahead 0-2 on Castilla, he's gone full. Traxel has walked 1. That was in this inning. Struck out 2. Allowed 2 runs and 4 hits. On 3-2, Castilla swings and misses at the splitter, and Traxel strikes out Castilla to end the inning. His 3rd strikeout, a walk and 1 left. We go to the 5th, 2-1 San Diego. Let's check out today's Aflac trivia question.
Aflac!
I was waiting for that.
Where's that duck?
Who has caught the most games in Mets history? Well, it makes sense to ask that question today with Mike Piazza in the house.
I'll say
he is behind the plate.
Jerry Grody.
Cliff Floyd leads off in the 5th inning, and he takes ball 1. I would say that's probably a pretty good guess.
And what a pitching staff he caught.
Seaver, Kuzma, Ryan, Gentry, Matlack. 2-0 to Floyd.
Tug.
A lot of talent there.
Jim McAndrew.
Don Cardwell. Floyd grounded out his first trip, and Peavy falls behind him 3-0. Peavy hasn't walked a batter, only 4 walks in 22 innings to start the year.
Now, Peavy is throwing a good game through 4 here, but he's up with his pitches. Look at that's not knee high, and it's not a very good sinker. A guy like this, if you're a left-hand hitter, he's going to throw that sinker, just shoot that left center field gap, hit it where it's pitched.
And he rips one, and that one snagged by Gonzalez. And he finds Peavy for the out. Well, Beltran hit one in the same spot that Gonzalez couldn't handle. This one he picked beautifully.
Well, Gonzalez here, no Olay here. This is just nice play, nice hands, nice reaction. That is a 1-hop bullet, in between hop. He shows great hands there. And a big hang with him for Cliff.
I was talking with Jerry Coleman, longtime voice of the Padres and Hall of Famer. And he said that Adrian Gonzalez plays first base like you. And 80 hits one to third. And Castilla throws him out for the second out.
Really?
He did.
Well, that's high praise.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. I wouldn't downplay that at all.
And Jerry Coleman, of course, as we talked to him earlier, he grew up with my dad, played against my father in San Francisco in high school. My dad went to Mission High. This is back in the Depression days.
And Jerry was saying your father was a great right-hand throwing first baseman. Well, here's Kaz Matsui, who did it again. Homer in his first at bat of the season, the only player in Major League history to do it in his first 3 seasons. In fact, Elias tells us that he was the only one to do it in his first 2 seasons. So he extends his Major League record. 1-1.
There's Jerry.
The Colonel.
What a good man.
War hero, great baseball player, wonderful broadcaster, and just a terrific person. 2-1 to Matsui. Here's what he did his first trip in completely unlikely fashion. Inside the park home run. Bangs this one down to Gonzalez, who makes the unassisted play, and Peavy has himself a 1-2-3 inning on 3 ground balls. We've come halfway now in San Diego. Still Padres 2, Mets 1.
Matt Yaloff here with a Chevrolet Baseball Night in New York update. Phillies and Nationals in Philadelphia. Nick Johnson teeing off not once but twice as the Nats down the Phillies by a score of 10-4. In American League East action, or at least a scoreboard, the Devil Rays knock off the Red Sox 5-1. Johnny Gomes with 2 home runs in the win. Back to Garrett.
So Scott Kazmir and the Devil Rays beating the Red Sox tonight. That snaps Boston's 4-game winning streak. Meanwhile, Carlos Beltran, after playing the first 4 innings in the field and getting a base hit his last time up, has left the game. Andy Chavez takes over in center field, and you have to assume that that hamstring is still barking for Beltran.
We'll try to find out what's going on down there. I'm sure he's still got problems.
Ben Johnson leads off the home 5th against Traxel, and he takes it wide. And you know, you harken back to last year with Beltran. He hurt that quad muscle in Washington on the 1st of May and played with it for 3 weeks. Then he sat out for a week and a half, and it affected him for another couple of months after that. And his goal was to avoid that same kind of scenario. Well, here he sat for 4 days, decided he was ready to go tonight, and he plays half the game, and he's out again. 1-2 to Johnson.
So if he's re-aggravated it, it's always, patience on leg injuries are pulls on any part of the body. Patience is so important.
Well, you had that hamstring injury, and it took you...
It took me a long time, but mine popped. And I don't know if Carlos's popped. I mean, no one tells us anything down there. They're very secretive with their injuries.
Johnson pulls one over the bag, foul ball. Just barely missed an extra base hit.
But I know that the old here's the ball hit down the line, and that is not foul by much.
It was Guccione, the third base umpire, right on top of it.
Tom McKenna, the old trainer emeritus for the Mets, and he was a trainer all those years with the Mets when they were in '73. He said the hamstrings are 3 weeks, and he always said when players said they're ready to play, to give them another week.
Slowly to the left side. And Wright nips Johnson at first, 1 away.
If you re-injure a hamstring after you pulled it, it's 3 weeks, automatically say 3 weeks. So if the player said, I feel great, another week, so it's a month. Because if you re-injure it, it's 6 weeks. You double the recovery time.
So enlighten me on this, because when Beltran went out of the game the other day, nobody says pulled hamstring anymore. He said it was tight. You've got tight, you've got strained, you've got torn. Are there levels of gradation in there?
Yes, there is. Obviously, a torn is the worst. There's different grades of a pull. A strain, his muscles have fibers, and you kind of break the fibers. I mean, I'm not a doctor, but the tear obviously is the worst. And if you pop the muscle, that's bad. And another thing too, Garrett, when you...
Peavy hits one hard to Reyes, and he throws out the jogging Peavy for the second out.
If you pull your muscle back, you get a big bruise the next day where the pull is because of the blood flow. Then you know you've got a serious pull. Now, I don't know if Carlos had.
Well, he said that there was bruising back there.
Okay, then he hurt it pretty good. If he had that, he pulled it pretty good.
And yet he was back on the 5th day. But he's not back anymore. There's Reyes, who had all sorts of problems with his legs. Missed basically 3 months of the season in '04 because of a leg injury, but was able to stay healthy all of last season. There's Dave Roberts taking a strike. Roberts already 2 for 2, tripled and scored in the first, then singled home the go-ahead run in the third.
You just kind of get a feeling right now that this game is just kind of moving along swiftly, and it's just a San Diego move along, kind of a day at the beach. The Mets cannot fall into the trap of being flat after the 3-game series at home and coming here without an off day. Normally you come out here, you have an off day, a day to regroup, and you get up like we did today at 6 o'clock. It's like 9 o'clock or whatever your pattern is. It's 3 hours early, but you have the day to get acclimated.
Those are scary numbers for the Mets right now. 1 run, 3 hits. Curveball just misses 1 and 2. They had a run on 3 hits on Tuesday night. They had a run on 3 hits yesterday, and they have a run on 3 hits today. On 1 and 2, Roberts takes the splitter low, 2 and 2.
That's why it's always good to have different personalities on your team. You just can't have 25 laid-back characters on your team. In '86, we had myself, we had Gary Carter, we had Wally Backman, we had Lenny Dykstra. We're all spunky kind of characters. So when the team was flat, they would.
To center field and deep, Chavez back. Had a good jump on that ball and ran it down. Well done by Andy Chavez, just into the game to replace Beltran. And so Traxel has himself a 1-2-3 inning. We go to the 6th, 2-1 San Diego. We go to the 6th inning in San Diego. Jake Peavy and the Padres working with a 2-1 lead. That's only run coming on the inside the park home run by Kaz Matsui. So in the last 3 days, only Mets second basemen have driven in runs. Chris Woodward drove in the only run each of the last 2 days, and Matsui today. And a strike to Traxel. Traxel hit a comebacker his first trip, 1 for 5 on the season. Right back to Peavy and into his glove, 1 away. So Traxel retired on the line drive. 1 away. Jose Reyes coming up as we check out our Hyundai in-game box score, and you see Matsui in that 8th spot on the order with the inside the park home run in his first at bat of the season. And that's been it. 3 hits for the Mets again tonight. Here's Reyes, has been up twice, both times fly to left. I was surprised to read, Keith, that when Kyle Davies and Tim Hudson threw back-to-back complete games against the Mets the last 2 days, it was the first time that had happened against the Mets, complete game wins by the opposition, since 1996. What does that tell you about the way the game has changed?
Absolutely. That was Shane Reynolds and Darryl Kyle.
2-1 to Reyes.
Then both with the Astros. Here's Tom Glavine. Lost a tough one yesterday. See, there's Jose getting under that ball again. He's hitting the bottom half of the ball. You just can't keep making the same mistake. There's the swing. That's a good pitch to hit right there. You see his shoulders are angled down 45 degrees. Your bat will follow the angle of your shoulders.
On 2-2, Peavy throws a breaking ball and Reyes down looking.
And that's the best pitch that Peavy's thrown tonight, a backdoor slider right there.
That's the 3rd strikeout for Reyes, for Peavy, as Reyes goes down looking. Hey, during the 2006 season, the Mets half of the 6th inning during road games on Sportsnet New York will be the Mets home run inning presented by Barbados Tourism. Stay tuned to SNY or visit sny.tv for details. Nice place, Barbados. Here's Loduca. He needs 1 foul. Do inside the park home runs count? You get to go to Barbados on an inside the park home run on the 6th inning?
Yes, it's a home run.
All right. Just check it. Triple and an error wouldn't count.
I agree with you. Barbados is a nice island, isn't it? I love Barbados. I've just been there once in my life and had a very nice time.
So Andy Chavez on deck. He took over for Beltran. Still no word on Beltran, but you have to assume that it's a recurrence of the hamstring problem. Loduca batting with 2 out and nobody on, and he rolls over 1 to 3rd. Easy play for Castilla, and another easy inning for Peavy. He gets the Mets 1-2-3. He's now retired 8 in a row. Middle of the 6th at Petco Park, 2-1 Padres. Before we go to the bottom of the 6th, let's check out the answer to our Aflac trivia question. The question was
Aflac.
Yes, Aflac. We heard you. Who has caught the most games in Mets history?
I said Jerry Grody.
Sir, I believe you are correct.
There you go, 1,176. Mike Piazza's second on that list with 827. Gary Carter, 566th, is 5th.
Todd Hundley and John Stearns third and fourth on that list. Josh Barfield takes ball one from Traxel. His 77th pitch of the night. Barfield is struck out, fly to right. Rookie second baseman. And he takes a strike. We were talking earlier about Barfield and the fact that he's a different kind of a player than his dad, but he's got a brother who's in high school right now named Jeremy, who's 6'5", 240.
I believe that.
Very different body type. 2-1. His dad, Jesse Barfield, not only was a home run hitter, he had 40 home runs one year for Toronto, but he had a great arm in right field. Along the right field line, Nady. And Barfield retired one away. So 1 out and nobody on. Here's Brian Giles. Drove in the first San Diego run with a first inning single and grounded out in the third. Time to start limbering up if you're Aaron Heilman. Looks like they're doing Tai Chi out there in the bullpen with all those guys rotating their limbs. And Giles takes a strike.
Let's see how this at bat pans out here. Giles got some chin music, some serious chin music. His last at bat.
1-1.
Very patient hitter. Draws lots of walks, as you said, Garrett.
You know, the Giles boys have always been overachievers. Brian Giles was a 17th round draft pick. Marcus was 56th round, I believe, and was that guy on deck. Piazza, he was a 62nd round pick. Nice pick by Wright to the backhand. Bounces the throw, and it's not in time. Now Wright made a beautiful backhand pick, but the one-hop throw not in time to get Giles.
Nice play by Wright here in the backhand. The ball really came up. Sets himself, makes the throw. Nice pick on an in-between hop by Delgado, but he's off the base.
I think he was called for being off the base.
I think the umpire called him just beating the throw, but he's out, and Delgado was not on the base. Let's see.
Well, the first base umpire, John Hirschbeck, did not make an indication that he was off the base.
But he is.
He might have been.
He said he beat it, but he was out if he's on the base.
I agree. But Hirschbeck, when he made the safe call, usually they'll wave to the side to say that the guy was off the base. He did not do that. Anyway, it's a base hit for Giles, his second hit of the day. And here's Piazza with 1 out and 1 on. Mike has grounded into a double play and fly to center. And he takes a curveball low from Traxel. Piazza, back in his Dodger days, had great numbers against the Mets.
Boy, didn't he?
Then again, he had great numbers against everybody.
His first home run was off Dwight Gooden back in '93 at Shea. His first of 11 home runs against the Mets.
Mike is very close to getting to the 400 home run plateau. He's at 398. Of course, he's hit more home runs than any catcher in the history of the game. And he will be a first ballot Hall of Famer. Players are no longer given the option of what hat to wear on their Hall of Fame plaques because of some shenanigans that have gone on in recent years. But Mike said if he had a choice, he'd be going in as a Met. And that's even though, if you look at the numbers, he achieved a lot more as a Dodger. But he was a Met for longer, and he played in a World Series as a Met. And only one Met has hit more home runs, as you see there.
Some fan just said, anytime you're ready, Traxel.
There was a time at Shea Stadium a couple of years ago where some fan yelled, "Throw the ball" at Steve, and it became something of a chant. Piazza rolls over one. It's 2-1.
What shenanigans happened to me?
Well,
I forget. Tell me.
There have been some intimations that certain players chose to wear certain hats because of financial arrangements. Wade Boggs, Dave Winfield, that certain ball clubs compensated players for choosing to wear their hats in the Hall of Fame. And I think it ended with Boggs trying to go in as a Devil Ray, which obviously made no sense at all. He had to go in as a Red Sox.
Well, that wouldn't surprise me, Wade Boggs doing that.
Chad Bradford up in the Mets bullpen. But I think it's probably the right thing for the Hall of Fame to do, to take back that option. That you know, just as players are voted into the Hall of Fame, it's the Hall of Fame that should decide how that plaque looks in terms of what cap they wear.
Well, I think the player should have some preference, and if it's appropriate, I think it should go to the player's side. But in the case of Wade Boggs with the Devil Rays, come on, give me a break.
Well, I mean, the same kind of decision had to be made on Gary Carter as Piazza pops it up, and Matsui is there, and that's the second out. So two-way, Giles still at first, and here's Adrian Gonzalez. I mean, you know, for as much as Carter achieved as a Met, as you see Piazza pop up, the fact of the matter is that the bulk of his career was played in Montreal, and he appropriately, on his plaque, has a Montreal Expos cap. As much as Met fans would like to claim Carter as their own.
And he should have a Montreal hat. His greatest years were at Montreal, and he played more there, obviously.
Gonzalez takes inside, but if Gary had a preference himself, what would he have chosen? I'm not sure.
You saw in that swing in the replay of Piazza, he just didn't beat Mike inside early in his prime, and he's just lost that little bit, and that's all it takes.
Again, it's hard to be a 37-year-old catcher and cleanup hitter. The center field, Chavez covers a lot of ground out there in a hurry, and that's the third out. One hit and one left. Love that music. We go to the seventh, 2-1 San Diego.
Matt Yaloff here with a baseball night in New York update. Miguel Tejada against the Indians, going deep, his third home run of the year. The O's down the Tribe 9-4. Now the O's come to New York tomorrow to take on the Yankees. The game marks the return to New York of former Met Chris Benson. He comes in with a 1-2 record. He'll face Chin-Ming Wong, who throws for the Yanks. Back to Gary in San Diego.
And those Orioles have been playing pretty well. They're 9-7. Remember, they were blown out by Cleveland a couple of days ago, and then came back yesterday and won 18-9. So that's an interesting club they have in Baltimore this year. You see Doug Mirabelli taking over the catching, and this is something the Padres have been doing in the early season.
Well, it's when they had the lead, it's a defensive replacement, obviously. Mirabelli known for his catching skills, his defensive skills.
But it's an early defensive replacement in the top of the seventh.
No, I disagree. It's a one-run game in the seventh. The Mets have speed. You got Endy Chavez leading off.
Chavez taking Beltran's spot in the lineup, and he takes a strike.
And he just hit. So I think it's, excuse me, there's Traxel and his gaze there, pitching a fine ball game.
But the Mets again not managing a whole lot of offense, just a run and 3 hits again tonight as Chavez fouls one back. And he started 4 straight games in center field while Beltran was out. He plays a solid center field, but he's yet to hit. He's just 1 for 14 to start the season, and that hit came his first time up.
Well, that whole contingent of Valentin, Chavez, and Castro that played during that period all went combined 4 for 39.
Only one of the irregulars who did well was Chris Woodward, filling in for Anderson Hernandez. By the way, now Hernandez is 22 years old, and he's got a bulging disc in his back. As Chavez strikes out on 0-2, that's the 4th strikeout. Now the most advanced traffic information is just a click away with WB11.com's commuter cast. Get real-time traffic updates on your computer every weekday afternoon at 4. Log on to WB11.com for commuter cast. Now, you had back problems late in your career, but
That ended my career.
But a 22-year-old with a bulging disc, and then he says, I'm a slow healer. That was a little bit odd, I thought. Delgado rips one foul, 0-1.
Is that from years of experience with a bulging disc?
I don't know. I just thought it was very strange. I mean, I know he was in a lot of pain, and you could see him walking around the clubhouse before they sent him to the hospital yesterday.
Delgado broke his bat there on that ball, that slider inside. Peavy's starting to throw his slider a little better right now. There's no worse pain than having your bulging disc rubbing up against your nerve. And when I had my back surgery, I had 2 discs that broke off the main disc. They were blocking 75% of my nerve passage. I could not put my pants on. It was 24-hour constant pain, and it was a nerve tingling pain. The good thing for Hernandez is that they're going to try to fix it without surgery.
Delgado hits one in the air off the left side, and that'll go in the crowd.
And you saw the catcher there give a high target. He wanted that fastball up and out of the strike zone. They're going up and down the ladder on Delgado. And Peavy, watch the catcher here with a high glove, and Peavy went upstairs.
And a struggle for Delgado right now. 0 for his last 10, including a strikeout his last time up.
Wants a breaking ball down, and he shook him off, going for a sinker. We're going to rethink this. We're going to rethink. I agree with the catcher. Hard curveball down in the dirt after going up the ladder.
Doug Mirabelli, known for his defense.
Change up, and he wants it down.
1-2 to Delgado. Mets down 2-1 as they bound the top of the 7th. Jake Peavy in his 4th start of the year. This is the 3rd good one. He had one where he got rattled around a little bit, but not tonight.
Fastball away.
And he hits it away over the bag and down the line. They were not over shifted, and so Roberts gets there quickly and holds Delgado to a single.
Now I know you get beat more in the hole than you do down the line. And this is the pitch he got up. Now he didn't get it down, and that's just good hitting. We've seen Delgado do this. Particularly with 2 strikes when you got a hitter that does this. When you've got a 1-run lead in the 7th or a tie ball game, no doubles. Now that was only a single because Delgado doesn't run well.
Well, also,
you can't give the lineup.
Also because Roberts in left field was playing as close to the line as we've seen anybody against Delgado. And he runs so well, he's got center fielder speed. So now the tying run at first with 1 out, and here's Wright. David had an opposite field double in the 2nd. He's 1 for 2. The Mets have 4 hits tonight. And there's a strike to Wright, and Delgado snaps out of that 0 for 10. Wright's double his first time up tonight, snapped an 0 for 11. So the big bats have been cooled, but the Mets getting good pitching and hoping to come back late in this game.
They're going to go away.
0-2 to Wright.
2 fastballs up in the strike zone. Plenty of plate.
That last pitch was one that David normally takes to right field.
Now we saw in the Atlanta series, Braves going hard inside on Wright with ahead in the count. Padres got burned on the first inning with David's double just by going away. Let's see what the catcher wants to do. He wants a high fastball. Too high. That pitch serves no purpose. I'm sorry. If you're going to waste a pitch 0-2, then you're going to put it under someone's chin. Not to hit him, but move him off the plate.
Mirabelli going to that Yogi Berra catching stance. Almost
Slider.
Standing up.
Wants a slider now.
And he strikes him out with a slider. 5 strikeouts for Jake Peavy. 2 away.
Peavy has found his slider here in the last couple innings. Starts out on the outside corner and breaks out away. In the immortal words of Steve Carlton, pitchers try to expand the strike zone, and that is a classic example. Throwing the ball starts out around an inch off the outside corner as a strike and breaks around 3 inches late as a ball. It's hard to lay off.
Only the 3rd time Wright's been struck out in 54 at-bats. So now 2 out. Delgado still at first, and here's Cliff Floyd, who both times has grounded out to the first baseman. The last time a terrific play by Gonzalez.
Good slider. That was like a cutter. This has become his big pitch. Look at this. Last minute action. That's a cut fastball, and that is in a perfect location.
So we saw from Hudson, that great slider yesterday.
Well, he's got better command with his breaking stuff than he does his fastball.
Floyd takes it inside, 1-1.
And you notice the catcher again wants to pitch up high, and he gave him the sign after he caught the ball like good pitch. That's where he wanted it, inside, up. And let's see what the purpose was. What did they want to achieve here? Changeup. So after up and in, they're going to go away with a changeup.
And Floyd swings and misses, 1-2.
There's the changeup. It's a ball, sinking changeup. It's a ball. You just can't. Pitcher like Peavy, your left-hand hitter, you can't try to pull him. He's going to throw you that sinker ball in the outside corner and just sit on that thing all day. And when you get it, wear it out into left center field. Changeup.
Peavy ahead in the count, 1-2 with 2 out. Peavy hasn't walked a batter. He's struck out 5. He's allowed a run on 4 hits. The only run coming on the Kaz Matsui inside the park home run.
Took off 2 signs. Took off a change and a slider. Wants a sinker away.
And 1-2. Floyd takes it high. And Peavy badly missing his target there. 2-2.
You see again, like I said, he's got better command of his breaking ball than he does his fastball. He's been up in the strike zone all day with his fastball.
Peavy up to 96 pitches on the evening. Trying to finish off the top of the 7th.
That's a good call by the catcher. Slider in.
On 2-2, Floyd takes it inside. And now it's a full count. So Peavy got ahead of him. But now Delgado will be in motion with 3-2 and 2 down. Nady waiting on deck.
Change up away. We'll see. Could be a fastball away too. Change up. Took him off. He loves his slider. He knows that's his pitch. This is his best pitch tonight.
Delgado runs the 3-2, hit in the air, shallow center field. In comes Johnson. And he makes the play, and the inning is over. So Peavy works around the 1-out single by Delgado. 7th inning stretch time, 2-1 San Diego. Hey kids, be a part of the team by joining the Mets Fan Club for Kids, presented by the Sports Authority. For more information, visit Mets.com/kidsclub or call 201-784-9600 during regular business hours. Steve Traxel begins what will probably be his final inning of work as we go to the bottom of the 7th. Traxel's thrown 91 pitches through 6 innings and is due a turn at bat in the top of the 8th. He's pitched well. He's down 2-1 as Khalil Green leads off. And Green takes a strike.
He has pitched outstanding. 5 hits, 1 walk, 3 strikeouts.
And just 1 infield single over the last 3 innings. So things have gotten better as the night's gone along for Traxel, bouncing back from a rough one his last time out. And he misses high with a curveball, 1-1. Traxel got wrapped around for 4 runs and 9 hits in 5 innings against the Brewers last Saturday. But again, pitching on his normal rest tonight, and he's been very sharp with that curveball.
That has been his best pitch. He spots his fastball, but he's had an outstanding breaking ball tonight.
And he just misses 2-2. Traxel's a big game plan guy. He'll do a lot of studying of the opposition to try and find weaknesses. And he's got enough different weapons to go to. Goes another breaking ball, and Green singles through the hole on the left. So there's the 6th San Diego hit. It comes leading off in the bottom of the 7th. In 2006, Hyundai, the Mets, and Sportsnet New York are teaming up to strike out cancer. For every K the Mets pitching staff registers, Hyundai, the Mets, and Sportsnet New York will donate $25 to the Hope and Heroes Children's Cancer Fund. Traxel has chipped in with 3 strikeouts tonight. Here's Vinny Castilla. Been retired on a comebacker and a strikeout. As Traxel has worked the curve against Castilla, especially tonight.
It's a good time for a hit and run here. Close ball game, late. Vinny Castilla goes that way well. Get the count in your favor. And the count in your favor would be 2-1. Put the runner in motion.
Chad Bradford getting ready in the bullpen. Feliciano, the left-hander, looking on. 1-0 to Castilla. And Traxel falls behind 2-0. Castilla taking a look down at the third base coach for the Padres, and they've got a new third base coach this year. That would be the closer's big brother, Glenn Hoffman. The former Dodger manager is now the third base coach. There's Scott Linebrink. He's the eighth inning guy, and then you got Trevor Hoffman for the ninth.
Well, a good pitch to hit right here if you're a hitter.
Here's the 2-0 to Castilla, and Traxel misses ball 3. So Traxel has only walked 1 tonight, behind on Castilla 3-0.
Well, this hurts because you've got a 3-0 count. Traxel's going to come back for a fastball for a strike. Then you're left with a 3-1 and 3-2 potential, and the runners will be in motion. The runner will be in motion on both counts, 3-1 and 3-2.
On 3-0, Castilla takes a strike. Oh, we're glad you could stay up late with us from Petco Park. It's midnight in Manhattan, but the night is still young in San Diego.
It's midnight for us also.
Nah, we're on West Coast time.
Not yet.
3-1 the count to Vinny Castilla. The little Green at first and nobody out. Traxel checks in on Green.
We're very much aware that Green is going to go, but Green is not going to go aggressively on this. It's almost like a hit and run. You don't get picked off here when you're put in motion. 3-1.
Green had a stolen base back in the 4th inning, his second of the year. And he is going, and it's ball 4. And the Padres have the first 2 men on against Traxel here in the 7th. So there's just a second walk given up by Traxel. Willie Randolph moving up the steps. He's got Bradford ready in the bullpen. And Ben Johnson, a right-hand batter, coming up. And he'll make the sign and bring Bradford into the game. So Traxel will leave after 6 innings plus. He pitched well tonight. Mets haven't scored for him, and he leaves trailing 2-1. And Chad Bradford will come in the game here in the 7th. Steve Traxel exits after 101 pitches over 6 innings plus. The 2006 Mets official merchandise catalog is now available, offering a great selection of items for every Mets fan. For your copy, call 800-PRO-TEAM. Chad Bradford has not been used a whole lot. It's been 4 days since he went to the mound, and that was only for 1 batter, but he's very effective when called upon.
He has done a fine job so far this year in his 3 2/3 innings, and you're correct. He missed the entire Atlanta series. And you see the numbers there. Right-handers have yet to get a hit. I got to believe there'll be a bunt here and a pinch hitter in the on-deck circle for Peavy.
There's Jeff Blum, who had a game-winning home run in the World Series for the White Sox last year. Now a Padre. He's on deck. Mets look for the bunt from Ben Johnson, who's 1 for 2. And Bradford misses away.
Mets playing that bunt the normal way. No wheel play, which the shortstop breaks for third, putting it straight.
Runner at second. Green runs pretty well. Castilla at first is not fast.
David Wright giving the signs on the infield of which are the 4 bunt plays they're going to use.
Wright cheats in, then backs up, and Johnson takes a strike. He didn't think so. 1-1.
We've got to bunt it down the third base line here. Wright is not really being real aggressive, which he normally is.
He dances in and out, and we saw that cost the Mets in a game earlier this year when Pedro Martinez had to field a bunt and then threw it away. 1-1. Johnson fouls off the bunt. And now he's in a 1-2 hole. We'll see what Bruce Bochy does with 2 strikes on Johnson.
See if he puts it back on with his 8th hitter. These are the little fundamentals of the game. I know it's hard to bunt, particularly off a submariner. You're not used to seeing a guy with delivery like that. It makes it all the more difficult. But these are the little things that win or lose you ball games.
You got a switch hitter on deck in Blum, and the Mets keeping the bullpen busy as Bradford works on Johnson. Let's see if the bunt is still on. It's not, and he fouls it off. Delgado and Wright were hedging in just in case. There's Duaner Sanchez, the right-hander. Pedro Feliciano, the left-hander, staying busy. Blum, the switch hitter on deck. Pretty good from both sides. Padres have 3 switch hitters on their bench tonight. Gives the manager a lot of flexibility. On 1-2, Johnson bounces one slowly. Wright will have to go to first. He'll have to hurry. Not in time. Infield single for Ben Johnson, and the bases are loaded with nobody out.
Well, tough break here by the Mets. David has no wasted motion here. Good throw to first. Got a little bit of a late break in on the ball. He wasn't playing deep.
Better if he's still being in his bunt defense. As it turned out. A little slow roller, and now Willie Randolph on his way out to the mound, and he may want. I'm not sure if he'll want the left-hander or if he wants Sanchez, who can strike somebody out in this spot.
We've got Eric Young, who's a left-hand. They've got Eric Young on the right-hand bench.
Blum, a switch hitter, I think was announced into the game, and now Feliciano will come on to face him, and that'll make Blum a right-hand batter. Pedro Feliciano walks into a mess. Bases loaded, nobody out. And the switch hitting Jeff Blum will be the batter.
This is his 2nd appearance. 3 innings he worked was in that Atlanta series.
That was night before last, and Feliciano came out of that appearance saying that he was gassed. I said, "You need a day or 2?" He said, "I need a week."
Really?
And we'll see how much he has left in the tank tonight.
Something's best left unsaid.
The infield comes in with the bases loaded and nobody out. The Mets already down by a run. Blum is 0 for 10 to start the season. And he takes that backdoor breaking ball for a strike, 0-1.
Blum is also a better left-hand hitter. A lifetime .237 hitter against lefties. Hit only .213 in 94 at-bats against left-handers last year.
And he's 0 for 2 in his career against Feliciano. And he takes another breaking ball for a strike, 0-2. A spot where Feliciano would dearly like a strikeout. He's ahead 0-2.
Well, here's 2 sliders and the backdoor sliders on the outside corner. And as a pinch hitter, you cannot go up there and take. You've got to go up there hacking.
Dave Roberts on deck. He's had a big night already.
Infield in, of course.
0-2 to Blum. He pops it up. Delgado retreating. Can he get there? He does with the basket catch, and Green will hold it third as Delgado gets it in. That's a nice play by Delgado and foul ground for the first out. So 1 away. Dave Roberts is due up. He's a left-hand batter, and Eric Young is going to bat for him. You see Green at third, Castilla at second, and Johnson at first. And the former Rutgers football star Eric Young, now 39 years old, will be the pinch hitter for Dave Roberts. We'll see if Willie Randolph responds with Duaner Sanchez. If he does, then Bruce Bochy has Mark Bellhorn, a switch hitter, to go to. Here comes Willie. He'll bring Sanchez into the game. So the wheel's spinning here in San Diego. The Padres with a 2-1 lead in the bottom of the 7th. Bases loaded, 1 out, and Duaner Sanchez, who's been the goods so far this year, will come into the game to replace Feliciano. Duaner Sanchez has had a couple of days off after pitching a solid inning and a third against the Braves on Monday night. And he'll come in here to face Eric Young with the bases loaded and 1 out. Well, Young still runs pretty well. I cheated him. I said he's 39. He won't be 39 for a couple of weeks. but he does still run well, and the Mets are going to play about halfway on the infield. Green at third, Castilla at second, Johnson at first, and 1 out. And Sanchez misses ball 1.
And as a hitter, you always like, in this situation where the pressure is on the pitcher here, that he misses first pitch with a breaking ball with the bases loaded, falls behind 1-0.
Hit to third, diving stop Wright, gets the out at second, relay by Matsui, in time, side retired. A gorgeous double play turned by Wright and Matsui, and Sanchez gets through the inning. David Wright, who made the bare hand play for the ages here in San Diego last year, makes the diving play, and Matsui with the pickup and turn. What a play. Bruce Bochy came out and argued vehemently the call at first base on the double play that kept the Padres off the board.
Just a nice play by Wright. Look at the nice play by Matsui. That's the play. And does tie base go to the runner here?
It looks safe from here. And Young couldn't believe it. John Hirschbeck with the call at first base. David Wright. Look at that celebration.
This, and also Sanchez. This is just a fine play.
Now, I want to look again, if we can, at the runner at second base, Ben Johnson, because he went in on Matsui and then appeared to throw an elbow out.
He tried to throw an elbow and missed. But Matsui, that ball's in the dirt, and Matsui, we know, it does not like to hang in there. You watch the elbow. Right there, late. That's clean. That is clean. But Matsui hung in there and made a strong throw on a throw in the dirt. So he made a terrific play. They both did, Wright and Matsui, but double kudos to Kaz.
Well, Kaz's first game of the year has already had an impact with his bat, and now with his glove, that's a sparkler. Make that kind of pickup and that kind of throw against a speedy runner. As Nady takes a strike, 0-2. Scott Linebrink on to pitch in relief. The Padres bullpen was one of their major strengths last year in winning the National League West, and it looks like it may be again this year. And Linebrink is a big key to that. Hard throwing right-hander. Nady hits it hard down the line. That's a fair ball off the jutting stands. Nady will go for second as the shortstop Green goes out to get it. And Nady pulls in with a double. That's like at Fenway Park where that shortstop has to field the ball off the jutting stand. And the Mets have the tying run in scoring position.
Hanging slider. Don't do that to Nady. And Castilla guarding the line. And the ball's hit so hard it gets by him. Double. You cannot let the ball get by you. You've got to play close enough to the line where the hardest hit ball possible you can make the play.
Well, let's see if Matsui is asked to bunt that tying run over to third base.
Well, the adage in baseball is what? You play for the win on the road and the tie at home. I don't buy it. I think you've got to have this game. You've got to advance the runner.
Franco on deck as Matsui takes inside. Well, Kaz Matsui, his first time up today, his first time up this season in the big leagues. It went off the glove of Brian Giles in right field that hugged the wall, and Matsui circled the bases for an inside the park home run. The third straight year in which his first at bat of the season has resulted in a home run. And we sent the Elias Sports Bureau back to the record books again. We already know Matsui is the first ever to do it in his first 3 seasons. This time he's swinging and he fouls it off 1-1. And they dug out the fact that Ken Griffey Jr. in 97, 98, and 99 led off 3 straight seasons, his first at bat with a home run. So Kaz is going to have to do it again next year if he wants that record to himself.
Well, this is a situation right here where you have to advance the runner. The least thing that you can do is at least hit a ground ball the right side of the infield, move the runner to third.
And he's been pretty good at doing that. Matsui. 2-1. He was hitting second behind Reyes, which was a new role for him last year. He became rather adept at hitting that ball to the right side.
Well, Matsui knows how to play the game. He knows what's required of him right here, what needs to be done. This is a big game opening a road trip here after losing 2 out of 3 at home.
Nady, big game. Nady at second with nobody up, but Matsui hits it to third. And Castilla looks back the runner and throws him out. He threw that ball right to Castilla, so Matsui unable to advance Nady to third. Really
very good at not showing his emotions. sure he learned that from Joe Torre over there with the Yanks.
I betrayed a little bit of emotion there when he tugged at his cap like that. That's frustrating. Well, the bunt on the first pitch took it off, figuring Matsui would be able to get Nady to third, but he couldn't do it. So now here's Julio Franco with one out and a tying run at second. Franco batting for Sanchez, who came in to get the big double play from Eric Young. And Aaron Heilman will get ready to pitch in the bottom of the 8th.
So I guess you can already see, if you're watching, Mets have a pretty good bullpen, pretty deep bullpen.
Bradford and Sanchez and Feliciano doing a wonderful job getting out of that 7th. Franco takes ball 1. Traxel started that inning by allowing the first 2 to reach base. Feliciano got unlucky giving up the infield single. Bradford did, and then Feliciano got Blum to pop up, and Sanchez came in to get the double play.
And Sanchez got the lucky double play. The ball hit hard, and a great play made by Wright and Matsui for the double play.
Franco 1 for 6 to start the year. Lifts one to right. It's pretty well hit. Back goes Giles onto the track near the wall. It's out of here! Julio Franco becomes the oldest player in the history of Major League Baseball to hit a home run. He hit it to just the right part of the park, that short porch down the right field line, a 2-run pinch hit home run, and the Mets take the lead for the first time tonight. It's 3-2 New York.
There's Willie smiling. How clutch. That's the spark the Mets may have needed.
Franco owned about every other record for the oldest player to do this and the oldest player to do that. Well, now at age 47, he's the oldest player ever to hit a home run in the history of the game.
Fastball up, meant to get down and away, got it up and had too much of the plate. And you're right, he hit it right at the right part of the ballpark. There's 322 down that line.
And he gets the back rub from Matsui. You picked me up. You picked me up. And he did. Man's carrying a pretty good load for this team right now, on and off the field. And that was a huge hit for this ball club as Reyes takes a strike.
Well, everything's set up just perfectly for Bochy.
That's 3-1 to Reyes.
Line Brink is this very solid 8th inning guy to take it to Hoffman, and you know you can make all the right moves as a manager, and if they're not executed, they don't happen.
And the funny thing is, this is not supposed to be a home run hitter's ballpark. Reyes pulls a base hit through the hole in the right, and so he has his first hit of the night and the 3rd hit of the inning against Lineberg. But if you're going to hit a home run in this ballpark, the place where Franco hit it is by far the best place to go. It's 322 down the line, and there's a little what they call a jury box, which sticks out from that right field corner. And Franco nailed it. And if you're 47, you're going to hit a home run. You got to find the right spot, and that is the right spot.
That is a seriously clutch home run. I cannot emphasize enough how important it is for the Mets to win this opening game of this road trip, particularly after the Atlanta series at home.
1-0 to Loduca. Well, they were down 1-0 early. They tied it up on Matsui's inside the park home run. The Padres went right back out in front, and Jake Peavy was able to carry that through 7. But the Padres loaded the bases in the bottom of the 7th with nobody out, didn't score, and now Franco's 2-run homer gives the Mets their first lead. There goes Reyes. Pitch outside. Mirabelli's throw into the runner. Reyes takes a step toward third and then thinks better of it. So Reyes has his 6th stolen base of the year.
Well, he's tough to throw out here, and look at Loduca trying to distract the catcher. Not a good throw up the line. Reyes just gets such great acceleration. That was just a fantastic jump.
Reyes' biggest problem lately has been getting on base. Just his 3rd hit in his last 24 at bats. Darren Balsley, the pitching coach, out to talk to Lineberg as he struggles here in the 8th.
I hate to think of Reyes with that head first slide all the time. You know now that Marcus Giles may have a far more serious injury. We heard it in New York with a head first slide.
So many guys hurt their hands and their shoulders in that way.
There's the head first slide, and Giles and his head first slide in New York in that series may have chipped the bone and may have to go seriously deep on a disabled list.
Now Reyes in scoring position. Scott Cassidy, the right-hander. Alan Embry, the left-hander, up in the San Diego bullpen. 2-0 to LaDuca. And he hits it in the air to deep center field. Back goes Johnson near the track. At the wall, he makes the catch. Tagging Reyes, he'll go on to third. LaDuca hit that ball well, but it appeared to die out there on the warning track, and LaDuca just staring out there. Can't believe that ball didn't leave the yard.
Well, he crushed this ball. Look at this. That's out at Shea and out at most ballparks. But this is one of the bigger parks. And he just clobbered this ball. It's 396 in center field. But they say this is a pitcher's park. We know all the Padre hitters have moaned and groaned about the depth of this stadium.
Line break is leaving, and they'll bring in the left-hander Embry to pitch to Andy Chavez. 3-2 New York. '36-year-old left-hander Alan Embry is on to pitch for the Padres. Let's check out the National League scoreboard, sponsored by Toyota. Reds beat the Brewers 12-8. Edwin Encarnacion with a home run. The Nationals jumped on Ryan Madsen for 5 in the first and won easily at Philadelphia 10-4. Giants and Diamondbacks 6-6 in the 8th. Giants up by a half game over Colorado in that National League West, which may well be won by a team 2 games over 500 again this year, the way this division is starting out. Well, here's Embry, who had some elbow surgery in the offseason to take out some bone chips, and he's been great early on in the season.
He saved his bone chips. They're on his mantle in a glass case.
There's 5 chips and 2 spurs, and he looks at them every day. There's Andy Chavez trying to drag a bunt, got it down, and there's nowhere to throw him out. It'll bring a run home, and it's 4-2 New York. A great drag bunt by Andy Chavez, and it brings home Reyes with the 3rd run of the inning. It's now 4-2.
Well, that is just a real fine play. Chavez has not hit a lot against left-handers. And this is a beautiful drag bunt. Down the left side of the infield. Left-hander follows through towards the third base line. And, of course, with Reyes' speed, forget about it.
Well, for Andy Chavez, it's only his 2nd hit of the year, his 1st RBI, as he brings home Reyes with an insurance run. And now the Mets have a 2-run lead.
So all 3 runs this inning charged to Scott Linebrink.
3 runs in 2/3 of an inning charged to Linebrink's account. And now here's Delgado facing Embry, who, when he's healthy, is a hard-throwing left-hander. He struggled the last couple of years, pitched for the Red Sox and the Yankees last year, had an ERA well over 7. But he's given up nothing this year.
Well, here's the drag bunt again, and this caught everybody by surprise a little bit here. It's a good pitch, the drag bunt. It was on the inner part of the plate because he's running to first base. But look how his bat was level. It was a good pitch for him to bunt. Just a fine play right there that keeps the infielders off the lines at the corners for the Mets. Great insurance run.
Delgado has a couple of home runs in his career against Embry, 5 for 19 overall. 1-1.
Did not miss by much.
93 miles an hour. And that tells you that Embry's healthy. He says he's pitching without pain for the first time in a long time.
It makes you wonder why he didn't have surgery earlier.
He said that he was thinking about doing it last spring while with the Red Sox, but that they didn't have another lefty, and he felt that he couldn't do it because they had so many games early in the season against the Yankees. As it turned out, by the end of the year, he was pitching for the Yankees. Alan Embry, now 36 years old, and if he's healthy, he could pitch well past 40. Left-handed reliever who can throw like he does.
And he's the only left-hander the Padres have in their bullpen.
Delgado crushes one to deep right center field. Giles goes back and looks up, and it's out of here. Carlos Delgado with a 2-run homer over that 402 mark in right center. A laser beam for Delgado, his 6th home run of the year. The Mets have scored 5 runs here in the 8th inning, and they now lead at 6-2. What a shot.
That is a big game breaker right there. Another clutch home run by Delgado. It just took the Mets a couple hours to get it in gear. They were still on East Coast time.
That's 12:33 East Coast time. This must be the hour. They're a good nocturnal team. David Wright takes inside after Embry gave up the home run.
Wants a fastball in and got it over the middle and down. And Carlos has such a short swing for a big guy, a big power hitter. And there's Willis' reaction.
And just enough. That ball went right off the top of the fence and over. And Wright takes a fastball, 1-1.
There's been a lot of moves late in this game, and they've all been the right moves by both managers.
Well,
Embry comes in to face Chavez. Chavez puts down a beautiful bunt, the right thing to do. You got a left-hand hitter in Delgado, and he goes deep.
2-1 to Wright. Well, Embry had allowed just 1 hit so far this season. Chavez's was the 2nd, and then Delgado's the 3rd, and now Carlos will note that in his little book. His 3rd career home run against Embry in 20 at-bats. I got a fastball. I crushed it. Dear diary.
Is he in school?
3-1 to Wright.
I will not hit a 2-run home run off a left-hander again. Write that 20 times.
I don't think that's what he's writing.
Now go in the corner.
3-1 to Wright, who's 1 for 3 on the night. He doubled back in the 2nd. 6-2 New York. 5 runs home in the inning, and Wright draws a walk. And so the inning continues, and Embry hasn't retired anybody. That's the first walk issued by San Diego pitching tonight. Well, Jake Peavy threw 7 terrific innings, and now he'll get a no decision. He allowed just a run on 4 hits, but the Padre bullpen, which has been its strength the last couple of years, blowing up here in the 8th. Scott Linebrink tagged for 3 runs, and Embry for 2. Now here's Floyd, the 9th man up in the inning. Cliff returning to the lineup tonight from the ribcage pull is 0 for 3. Wright runs, and he'll steal the base easily. He got a huge jump against Embry. 2nd stolen base of the year for Wright.
Well, he just was going to go at the break here, and see, as soon as he broke from the belt, he's on his way. If he doesn't come over, you haven't got a chance to throw anybody out. And that's a smart play by Wright. Now puts him in scoring position.
Oh, 0-1 to Floyd. Up the middle, base hit. Right around 3rd. He'll score without a throw. The Mets have scored 6 in the 8th inning. LaFloyd joins the party with an RBI single, and it's 7-2 New York. Alan Embry has faced 4 batters, retired none, and he won't get a chance to do it to a 5th batter because Bruce Bochy's on his way out to the mound, and he'll make a pitching change. So the Mets blow up here in the 8th.
6 runs.
Embry departs. It's 7-2 New York.
This copyrighted telecast is presented by authority of Sterling Mats and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of Sterling Mats.
Well, the Mets have scored 6 runs against 2 San Diego relievers here in the 8th. Scott Cassidy will try and put an end to it against the guy who started the inning, Xavier Nady. And he takes a strike. Nady doubled with 2 strikes against Scott Linebrink to get this whole thing started. 2-run homers in the inning by Julio Franco to give the Mets the lead, and by Carlos Delgado. Among the Mets' 6 hits in this inning. And it's 0-2 to Nady. Nady making his return to San Diego, and Bruce Bochy not enjoying what he's watching, as his bullpen is giving it up.
Get a few more gray hairs in that goatee after tonight.
Floyd at first with 2 down.
Whoa, that got away.
1-2 to Nady. Scott Cassidy, 30 years old. He's pitched in the big leagues with Toronto and Boston. The Padres got him last summer. Grew up in Syracuse and went to Lemoyne College up there. He was a non-drafted free agent who's made it to the big leagues. And he strikes out Nady to end the inning, but the Mets send 10 men to bat, and they score 6 runs on 6 hits. A couple of big blows. Julio Franco becoming the oldest player in Major League history to hit a home run. Aaron Heilman takes over the pitching for the Mets as we go to the bottom of the 8th inning. Mets now with a 7-2 lead as we check out our AOL game summary. Kaz Matsui, an inside the park home run in his first at bat of the season. Carlos Delgado and Julio Franco with 2-run homers, and the Mets have themselves a 7-2 lead. Want a better high-speed internet? You belong on AOL. Josh Barfield fouls it back.
Took him a while to wake up, but boy, oh boy, when they woke up, 6-run, 8th.
And the game really turned in the bottom of the 7th. You look at Julio Franco. Jack Quinn had been the oldest player in history to hit a home run. A pitcher back in 1930. He was 46. And Franco does him one better. It's a home run at age 47.
And you're right, the game did turn back in the 7th with that double play. That great play by Wright in the hole, and the pivot by Matsui.
And Heilman strikes out Barfield with a changeup. 1 out and nobody on.
Bases were loaded with 1 out at that time. And there's the changeup out of the strike zone. Barfield swung at 2 bad pitches in that at bat.
The Mets bullpen doing a great tag team job in that 7th inning. Traxel left with 2 men on. Feliciano gave up an infield single to load the bases, or Bradford did, but then Feliciano came on to get Blum to pop up, and Sanchez got the double play. Beautifully turned by Wright and Matsui. And so Sanchez is now pitcher of record on the long side of this 7-2 score. Giles has 2 of the 7 hits for San Diego. 2-0. Aaron Heilman pitched yesterday, worked a 1-2-3 ninth inning, and the Mets 2-1 loss. Now making his 8th appearance in the first 15 games. That's diving right into that relief thing again. 2-1. Remember that Heilman didn't know until only a couple of days before the season he was going to be a reliever. Doug Mirabelli, who took over for Piazza behind the plate, now on deck in the cleanup spot. 2-2 to Giles. But Heilman, he had the 1 bad outing, but other than that, he seems to have not missed a beat going back to the bullpen.
He's pitched well, and that first outing was a shaky one for him. He got nobody out, came in on opening day. But he's been steady since.
And Giles takes outside 3-2.
And it just makes that bullpen so much deeper when you have someone like Heilman and then Duan or Sanchez, both of them to come in as your bridge to Billy Wagner.
And it's on the outside corner. Strike 3 call. Giles goes down looking at the fastball. And he lingers to discuss it with CB Buckner. Back-to-back strikeouts for Heilman to start the bottom of the 8th.
Well, watch the catcher's glove. See if he tries to bring it back in. Looks like a ball to me, doesn't it?
Did to Giles, but not to CB Buckner. And they're 2 away. Now the Mets certainly got the benefit of a call in the 7th. It looked like Eric Young had beaten that double play relay to first, but was called out by John Hirschbeck. It kept the Mets behind by just the 1 run, and then they parlayed that in the top of the 8th, scoring 6 runs. Here's Mirabelli up for the first time. Bounces one to David Wright. Takes his time and gets the slow-footed Mirabelli easily, and it's a quick 1-2-3 inning for Aaron Heilman. We go to the 9th. 7-2 New York.
Nat Yaloff here with a Chevrolet Baseball Night in New York update. Red Sox and D-Rays, and Scott Kazmir, the former Mets farmhand, injures himself. Muscle cramps in the left thumb and wrist. D-Rays beat the Sox. Kazmir with the win. Back to Gary and Keith in San Diego.
We go to the 9th inning here in San Diego. Mets with a 7-2 lead. Mets baseball on Sportsnet New York is being brought to you by Aflac. Ask about it at work. By Ford. Check out the best-selling Ford Explorer at a price that's even better, only at your tri-state quality Ford dealer. And by the all-new 7-passenger Jeep Commander. It's your world. Take command. John Atkins will take over the pitching for San Diego. Pitched the last 3 years, parts of it anyway, with the Chicago White Sox. Good time to catch up on your knitting when your team is behind 7-2 going to the 9th inning. I don't think I've ever brought knitting to the ballpark. You?
I've never knitted. I've sewed an occasional button on, but
hey, that's almost knitting. Here's Kaz Matsui, has had a big role in his first game of the year, and he drives one to left. Eric Young is right there. One pitch and one retired. Matsui with an inside the park home run, and just a ridiculous turn on a double play. Jorge Julio warming up in the Mets bullpen.
Wondering, with a 5-run lead, get another inning work with Julio here with a big lead. That's been his role. And I got to believe that Wagner would then, if he really opts to bring in Julio, Wagner will get loose if there's any trouble.
Here's what John Atkins has done this year. This is just his second appearance. He was called up about 4 days ago. Oh. And Jose Valentin takes inside. You know, you take a pitch like that when you're Valentin, you're 0 for 15, and you wonder, why are they throwing at me? Got the elbow out of the way. Valentin still looking for that elusive first hit of the season. Maybe he's an after midnight guy. And he is. He hits one over short, base hit in the left field. So all it took was Pacific time, 12:49 Eastern, and Jose Valentin has his first hit as a New York Met, and that'll prompt a smile. So 1 out and 1 on. New Yorkers love a good debate, and Daily News Live will be the place to find one. Gather around the table for fast-paced New York sports talk. Daily News Live weekdays at 5 p.m. on Sportsnet New York. Mets have 11 hits tonight. It's a big difference after a run on 3 hits each of the last 2 games. Looked for a while tonight as though they weren't going to get there. Jake Peavy held him in check for 7 innings, but the faucet's been turned on now.
Just took them a while to kick it in gear. This is the first time they've had an explosion of offense in quite some time.
Reyes swings through that one, looking to hit the Mets' 4th home run of the night.
Watch his shoulders. Look at the angle of his shoulders. The same angle of his bat. Swings right through a pitch, belt high. If he continues to swing like that, he's going to have a difficult time hitting a pitch belt high and up. He's got to square his shoulders a little more and level off.
Loops this one to center. Johnson in. Will have to play it on a hop, and Valentin goes into second, and Reyes has his 2nd hit of the night.
Well, he gets jammed in the breaking ball here. Down and in towards the end. A little quick.
So now 2 aboard with 1 out. That's now with 8 hits in the last 2 innings after 4 hits in the first 7 innings. Loduca is 0 for 4. The only starter without a base hit tonight. 1st and 2nd, 1 out. He takes a slider low from Atkins, 1-0. Valentin the runner at 2nd after picking up his 1st hit of the year, and Reyes at 1st. 7-2 New York, 9th inning. 1-1 to Loduca. Mets trying to go to 11-4 on the year. As you look at Andy Chavez on deck. Braves have the night off. Everybody in the division 500 or below other than the Mets. Hit to third. Castilla gets the out at third, gets the out at first, double play, side retired. 5-5-3 on the double play. We go to the bottom of the ninth in San Diego. Mets 7, Padres 2. It's rally cap time in San Diego.
It's Ferd Burfel.
And here's why it's rally cap time in San Diego, because it's been a 2-1 game in the 7th inning with the bases loaded. Eric Young's ground ball turned into this 5-4-3 remarkable double play. That might have been safe at first. And then Julio Franco in the top of the 8th becomes the oldest man in history to hit a home run. That gave the Mets the lead, and they were off and running from there.
6-run 8. And
now Jorge Julio will try and finish it off.
And this has been his role. He has struggled. Julio has brought him in with big leads. This is a 5-run lead. Should be able to hold it.
He looked good night before last in working a 1-2-3 ninth inning with the Mets down by 6 runs against the Braves. Now asked to finish it off and give Wagner a respite. But at the first sign of trouble, you have to figure Wagner's going to start to loosen up. Adrian Gonzalez leads off the ninth inning for San Diego. And Julio misses with the slider, 1-0. Gonzalez 0 for 2 and a walk. Two and 0.
Have to throw strikes in this situation.
And what's interesting is he's missing low. And Rick Peterson wants him to work the bottom of the strike zone. That's what Rick wants all his pitchers to do. But this is something that doesn't come naturally to Julio.
And he's not trying to overthrow, that's for sure. He's not throwing as hard as he can, so he's trying to have him pull back on the reins a little bit to get more command. There's Rick right there.
You know, last pitch 93, a far cry from the 98 we've seen Julio throw, and that one's bounced to second. And Matsui makes the play, and Gonzalez retires. So good recovery by Julio after falling behind 3-0.
Got 8 gloves out there.
So 1 down in the last of the ninth, and here's Khalil Green. Green is 1 out of 3. He had the base hit that got the Padres started in that bottom of the 7th when they loaded the bases with nobody out and did not score.
Looks like Sean Penn, doesn't he? I'm sorry that he hates that. But he looks Ridgemont High.
You're thinking Spicoli
No.
from Fast Times at Ridgemont High.
He looks exactly like him. And he hates that very much.
Well, you know, Khalil means gift from God. 1-1 to Green. Khalil Green's dad was a Marine in Vietnam, and when he came back, he was looking for some meaning to his life and adopted the Baha'i faith, and that's how Khalil got that name. Grounded foul, right, making the throw, but it's a foul ball.
Delgado may have got hurt trying to tag there.
Comes up limping a little bit. It was a play that was a moot point because the foul ball had already been signaled by both the home plate and third base umpires, and there was no reason for Delgado to try and make a tag.
Well, here it is right here on the throw. It makes the tag. He didn't hit him. What happened here? Let's see his reaction.
And he came down awkwardly.
Yes. Seems to be all right.
One and 2 the count to Green. And Julio strikes him out with a slider. And that's the second out.
And a good one right here. That is right to the glove. That is a good pitch. He's got good stuff. There's Willie. He's happy. Keep the faith, right?
Well, right now Julio's doing exactly what you'd like, and that is keep Billy Wagner out of the game. Mets have used 6 pitchers in this game, but avoided using their closer, and that keeps him fresher for tomorrow. And there's Billy relaxing, waiting for Julio to get the final out. And Vinny Castilla takes a strike.
Look at 91 miles an hour. He's let up. He's not trying to throw it through a brick wall.
One and 1 the count to Castilla. Here's the 1-1 pitch, swing and a miss to the slider, and now Julio 1 strike away from nailing this one down. Mets with a 6-run 8th inning.
Well, there's the slider, and that's expanding the strike zone. It's not, starts out knee-high outside corner.
The 1-2 to Castilla, and he bounces the breaking ball. 2-2. Big deep breath for Julio. Had to pull down a little too hard on that last one.
There's been progress, nevertheless, his last 2 starts.
No question. After falling behind 3-0 to the first batter tonight, he's looked great. 2-2 to Castilla. Swing and a miss. He struck him out. Julio fans Castilla with a slider, and the ball game is over. And the Mets with a terrific come-from-behind victory in the first game of their 10-game road trip as they score 6 runs in the 8th inning. Julio Franco hits the home run that makes him the oldest man ever to do so. Kaz Matsui has a terrific return to the major leagues. And the Mets have themselves a victory in San Diego.
So critical for this team after that disappointing end to the homestand against Atlanta, losing the rubber match and the series. Flying all the way over last night, getting in here late to open up this series, this road trip with a win.
So the Met fans on hand, happy with what the Mets accomplished tonight with the 6-run 8th inning. Once again, our final score. It was the Mets 7 and the Padres 2. Be sure to join us for our next Mets broadcast tomorrow night at 10 o'clock as the Mets again meet the Padres. Coming up next is Nissan Post-Game Live. Now for Keith Hernandez, I'm Gary Cohen. Let's go to Matt Yaloff in our Sportsnet New York studios.